Call the meeting to order. City of Laredo regular council meeting. Joe A. Gaylor Public Library, multi-purpose. 1120 Capitol Road, Laredo, Texas. August 14th to 15, 2025, 12 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you. May be seated. Hey, how you doing? Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor. Honorable Mayor Dr. Victor D. Trevino.
Present.
Honorable Council Member District 1, Gilbert Gonzalez. Honorable Council Member District 2, Ricardo Rangel Jr. Honorable Council Member District 3, Melissa Cigarroa. Honorable Council Member District 4, Ricardo Rick Garza.
I'm here.
Honorable Council Member District 5, Ruben Gutierrez Jr.
Present.
Honorable Council Member District 6, Dr. Tyler King.
Present.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem Vanessa Perez. Honorable Council Member District 8, Alisa Cigarroa. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, motion to excuse council member and Mayor Pro Tem Vanessa Perez.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. We'll proceed with
Communications.
communications. Presentation by Mayor, providing general comments on city matters, upcoming initiatives, and other relevant updates for the city council and public. Presentation, providing these comments. I want to thank everyone for being here today and watching online, especially as it relates to our discussion with possible action on the fiscal year 2025-2026 annual budget. Before we begin, some updates and comments on city matters. Discussion with Alcaldesa Cantu Rosas on binational collaboration front. During our weekly meeting and discussions with my Mexican counterpart, Alcaldesa Cantu Rosas, we discussed continued commitment to working together and making sure that our border is prosperous and secure place to live for both our communities. This includes making sure that as heads of local governments, our protocols and lines of communication can stay open and based on mutual respect. We have made reciprocal requests that we continue to be conscious and mindful of involving our governments and our communities in the domestic and our political affairs of each other's respective countries. Understanding that we're living through some unique and sensitive times when it comes to national security, our immigration policies, we continue, and I continue to assure that the public, that I keep an active and productive line of communication with our border mayors and Governor Abbott so that we can continue to live in peace and tranquility as Americans, Texans, and Laredoans. Ongoing intake of animals from Freedom Ranch. As a follow-up to the public, we're currently going through a process of taking an unplanned large number of animals into our shelter. So as this process plays out, we're asking the community to come together and help us. A call to action with short-term solutions, which will be further discussed at our city council meeting on Monday. And that involves adopting or fostering some of these animals that we have at the shelter. And this is because we simply don't have the resources, personnel, or space to deal with number of animals. We will share more information about the city adoption and foster campaign on Monday, and we will keep the public informed as the process continues. Now, moving along the budget, I'm pleased to report that the city is progressing the right direction with a 4% reduction in our poverty rate and continuing to be one of the safest cities in the country because of the city's investment in our public safety. However, we can always do better, as we're going through several efficiency studies through the recently adopted LEIP initiative or Laredo Efficiency Initiative program. The program purpose of these initiatives is as follows. Focus on spending on core government services like health, police, fire, and infrastructure. Analyze and ensure that current programs and projects are providing the benefit initially proposed that was a part of the initial taxpayer investment. And inform the public and be transparent on which projects have been completed or delayed. So I look forward to having productive and respectful discussion in these budgetary items. So with that being said, let's move forward with the agenda item.
Mayor, if I may motion to open up citizens' comments as the time period is ended for them to sign up.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Citizens' comments.
Mayor, you have 4 citizen comments, Mayor.
All right, we'll start out with Joey Tejas.
He'll be up at the podium. He'll be up here.
May I proceed?
Go ahead.
Mayor, council, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. My name is Joey Theus. I am the president of the board of the Boys and Girls Club of Laredo. I am also a former club kid. My home club was the Benavides Club located at 500 Moctezuma. The reason I'm asking to speak here is because the council has graciously authorized the city manager to enter into discussions regarding a memorandum of understanding or MOU about taking us off of third party and making us a direct line item in the budget. The council authorized Mr. Neb to negotiate with us up to $150,000. And while we're grateful for that amount, we're asking for $350,000 based on the services we provide to the city. And the reason we're asking for that is that we need to go to you all, to council, to ask for a deviation from the amount you all already authorized. The Boys and Girls Club of Laredo has traditionally been involved with sports, youth sports, whether it be football, basketball, volleyball, to both boys and girls. We are currently expanding operations. We have a soccer program. We also are involved with doing the first tournament that we're sponsoring with the new sports complex that you all are opening up. Hopefully it'll be the weekend of December 5th, 6th, and 7th. But we do more than just sports. We provide after-school programs to kids from 3 to 8 p.m. or from the moment they leave until 8 p.m. at all 3 of our locations. The one on Farias, or the one on Santa Maria, the Northwest, Lamar Bruni Vergara, and the main club, which is Benavides. We service this summer from 8 to 5, or actually beyond 5 p.m., all-day programs. We serviced over 100 kids every day this summer at each location, not the total. And we provide them food. Even when UISD and LISD doesn't give the kids food, we provide them food. That is what takes up the majority of our funding. And so we're asking you all, council, to consider raising the amounts. And I understand that we do fundraising, but the amount of fundraising we do is limited to the generosity of essentially 6 donors that contribute a total of about $300,000 to $400,000 of our $2 million budget. Everything else we do is self-raised. We have a wine tasting program, event that's done every February where we do a good job of fundraising, but we're limited in capacity to the country club. We have a raffle that's currently ongoing. So if anybody wants to buy a raffle ticket, please do so. That is our second biggest fundraiser. But everything else is done by us, what we're doing now, asking for money. And while we've tried to do grants, we charge our constituents $10 a year And so rather than raise fees on the children we serve that come from underserved locations, we're asking you all. We provide these services, and it's important for our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment, Miguel Hernandez.
Good afternoon. Mayor and Council, my name is Miguel Isaias Hernandez. My statement is going to be quick and brief, but many in our community have lost confidence in how the city of Laredo allocates public funds. To restore that trust, I believe these two questions must be directly confronted in the near future. Can community members track where the money is going over the years? And secondly, is there a public online portal where citizens can track department by department budget allocations and spending? That is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Monica Rodriguez Franks.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Franz Rodriguez, and I am the Libre Initiative Grassroots Engagement Director and now a Laredo resident. And it's a privilege and an honor to be here representing the organization and also all Laredo residents. I'm here today to talk to you specifically about an issue that we're working on very closely with our citizens. Our job is to bring the community closer to our city leadership and process. And so I'm here to let you know that we've just officially launched a new campaign called the Freedom Unleashed Tour, where we are out in the community talking to residents specifically about property tax reform, understanding that there is a huge concern and a large burden for a lot of citizens here in the city of Laredo and across the state of Texas. And so with that, there are 4 points that we're working on, and that is, of course, we are looking to work on an appraisal overhaul, system overhaul. There is inconsistencies that we are concerned about. We are also looking that there is a true and honest rate communication with our constituents and with our citizens. We also are concerned about wasteful spending, high debt and wasteful spending. And of course, the last point, which is really the most important and the biggest, is that we are wanting to return power back to voters. And so I'm here today on behalf of myself as now a Laredo citizen, resident, and on behalf of all of our community, that we're asking the council, this is Monica Rodriguez asking personally, that city council be very thoughtful and fiscally responsible. It would be a great pleasure and an honor for me and for our community to take back good news to our citizens and say, listen, we've got good news, help is coming. We collect data and analyze data and communicate data to our citizens and to our volunteers, our community. Unfortunately, we have seen an average of an increase of about $1,200 just from 2019 to 2024 as far as city taxes. This is only one of several entities. So if you accumulate all of the increases, this is a struggle and a burden for most. And so we want to see a community that is prosperous and beautiful and welcoming new residents and new business. So I thank you for that consideration. Again, it's a pleasure to get to know you, and hopefully I'll get to work a little closer with each one of you. God bless you.
Thank you. Next comment is Daniel Perez.
Good afternoon. I brought the wrong shirt because I was in another meeting, so sorry about that. I'm here representing Unified Soccer League. Our league has been playing at Slaughter Park.
Excuse me, your name for the record,
My name is
please.
Daniel Perez. I'm a 27-year, well, I've been in the fire department for 27 years, but I'm speaking about parks, not the fire department. I'll let the chief handle that over there. So, I represent Unified Soccer League. We've been playing at Slaughter Park since day one. We've been there since Dr. Landick was there. we heard through the grapevine that you are thinking about maybe putting turf on that park. I think that's a great idea because I know the Boys and Girls Club plays there, our soccer league plays there, there's now a girls flag football league. It's heavily used, it's centralized, so it'd be a great opportunity for the city to give these young athletes the opportunity to play on an excellent field, and it would also save the city in the long run money and water, So, but more importantly, if we invest in the youth, you give them opportunities. Countless of kids in the facilities that we've had have, because high school soccer is only like 2 months season, but we play year round, so they get the experience and the exposure. We bring college coaches. Sometimes we have tournaments. I know Melissa Cigarroa went to our Cinco de Mayo tournament in conjunction with the Consulado. Thank you. So if we invest in the youth, they get opportunities, and we keep sending kids to college on scholarship. So I think it's a good investment for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, motion to open up staff reports.
Motion, second? Second. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Staff reports.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Joe Nebb, City Manager for the City of Laredo. It's my pleasure today to present to you the fiscal year 2025-26 annual budget. The difference within this year, well, let me back it up just a little bit there more, because the slides are to keep me on track. I haven't prepared a speech because I want to talk from the heart, and I want to make sure you hear what all I have to say. So let's start with this one here, because this will lay it out there. We have been working on this budget since essentially, September of last year, but it gets really busy February of this year for that. This year has been a very busy year for us. We went through a failed bond referendum, and that kind of changed our way of looking at how we're spending. It made us look and started looking harder at that. That's where we initiated what the mayor stated about the efficiency studies, which those results are coming by October. We'll have those efficiency results out, and we'll be having a longer conversation about where we want to take the city into future budgets. But because of that, because of all of this work that we've done, we started pre-budget workshops to make sure that the budget that I am presenting tonight or today is not necessarily the city manager's budget based upon what the charter is. I have to provide you with an annual budget each year, and then it becomes your budget once it's adopted. And so this is my opportunity to present this forward, but I'm telling you right now that this is our budget. Those pre-budget workshops were very important to us. We actually implemented a budget survey this year as well too. We're hoping that we will see more individuals participate in that conversation, listening to some of the citizen comments as well too. All of our documentation is out on our website. You can pull up the books, you can pull up our presentations and everything. We have so much information out there to make sure that it's there. If anybody doesn't understand what that information is, please contact our budget office, our finance office. Any of our professionals will help explain that to everybody farther. But I just wanted to start with that this budget is our budget. And it is significantly different than how we've done budgeting in the past, because we've done all this pre-work into this. Because it gets very challenging, because there are so many needs out there. I was in a conversation this morning with our health department. Our health department, based upon some administrative changes that are outside of our control, they have lost $1 million within that budget out of grants that have been reduced or removed and everything else. We are trying to figure out how to balance out our core services as well as help everybody in the community with all of that. Very challenging in its own right, but I believe that we've met a happy median. I do want to state, for everybody's sake, that I want to get everybody out of the mentality that we only have one shot at this budget. That's not the truth. We have budget amendments every council meeting. We make adjustments within our system every time. A project may not get to where it's ready to go. We'll say, okay, what else can we do instead of that? I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a living breathing entity within our structure, and we're adjusting as we go because we want to do great things for our community. Now, the council's role in this, and this is the thing that I hope that we continue to build this trust within that our professionals, our management is devoted to implementing the directives of the city council, of the elected body. That's our whole goal with that. What we want to try to do is get you out of the weeds a little bit higher because you're the only ones that can do your job. You're the only ones committed to the citizens directly through your elections in order to make those decisions. Now, if you want to come down with us into the weeds, I'm happy to bring you there. I will make sure that you have all that information, but I want you to have that trust that we're doing everything possible for you to take care of our community. So when I talk about these council roles in the workshops, what I would hope that you can do, and you saw that within our structure here, we have 7 new policies or resolutions out there, financial resolutions. They talk about debt service. They talk about how we're going to do our finances. They talk about the reserves. They talk about all these things that are very important within our structure. Most of them we already had in place, but the citizens were not able to understand that these are the foundational pieces of our budget, of how we build our budgets. So you adopted these resolutions in order to make sure that we can explain to the public, this is why we do why we have this. We're in our reserves, we're required by law in our general fund to have 15% reserves. We know through our history what happened during COVID. We know that what happens when we hit a struggle where funds are not coming back in there, because general fund is the king of our funds because it has police, fire, parks, streets. All of those things come out of that same pot of money. We have the enterprise funds, which are the water, sewer, the street, the bridge is an enterprise fund. The airport is a special revenue, but it's essentially an enterprise fund as well too. These funds actually generate their own money, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But we're going to try to focus you down on those things. But when I can keep the elected officials focused on the policies and the procedures and saying this is how we will build a budget. All of my professionals can build a budget exactly the way you're asking for that, and it just works so much better, and it helps guide this budget. What I would caution everybody on: you don't have enough time in a day to go individual line item by line item and say, well, why are we spending $50 over here or $50,000 over there? We will walk through that, but that should walk through it all the way through the entire year. If we have philosophical conversations that we need to have, it's really difficult during a time when we're crunching numbers to lock this thing down, to have those philosophical conversations. So we'll introduce those things in the future. We'll even do better at that. I do want to caution everybody that we have a $1.01 billion budget. Overall, it's a consolidated budget of $1.01 billion. I'm asking you to don't change that number. That's the only number that I worry about a lot. When you get into the other funds, like the general fund and everything, I would ask that we don't change that top number within there. So if we make any adjustments within our budget for any of the services that you have thought about, and you say, I believe that we should be spending more over here than over here, we will make a correlating adjustment and a decrease within the budget. So if we increase something, we're going to decrease something. If we decrease something, we have the ability to increase something over on the other side. So be aware of that as we walk through that, because the challenge is there is no real extra money out there that we can devote to this. And I think what we have seen over the years is that we essentially have about, what our estimate is, about 3.4% of new revenue that comes into the city based upon our growth. And it's really interesting. And there's a slide on this, but I think it's a very important point to put out there as well too. Our city grew 11.4 or 11.7%. But we are, because of the state policies and everything, we cannot generate any more than 3.5% of new revenue, and our growth rate is around 3.4%. So we're already at odds with how fast we are growing to how much new revenue we can kind of bring in to help offset the cost of that, because it is all about the critical mass of population. It is all about the needs of the service and everything. And so keeping up with that is very difficult within that. What we hope you do is that you support the balance framework established through the months of the work and the public input and everything. And I really hope that even the public sees that we have strived very hard to put more information, good or bad. Again, it's just the data that everybody gets to look at and say, you know, if we would move this lever over here, we could actually turn this switch over here. That's the whole nature of how we're thinking through this. This approach is a lot different from the previous budgets because we introduced you earlier, and the strategic direction over last minute changes. I'm just recommending that you'll all be happier if we kind of go through that. But just understand that a budget is a living document. It changes based on the economy. It changes on everything. And I think this conversation we had during the bond referendum with the tariffs. If we get hit hard, then every one of you will be looking at saying, how can we help? How can we make this better for our public? But that doesn't change that we have all these services to provide. And so that's the tug of war that each of you go in when you go home and try to figure out, did I do enough for our city? Okay. The next step, this is another little housekeeping item, is that our workshops are happening later this year, but it's because we had all the pre-budget workshops and everything, the meetings and everything. So any significant changes to the budget, just like we did last year, you need to give staff time to make these adjustments. And so it takes a little bit of time to go back and make sure that we've checked and balanced, because it's not just changing out a number, it is now what is the correlating impact to something else that was connected to it. So please be aware of that when we're walking through this. The budget adoption is not the end. I'll be on that soapbox all day, I think, but it's like this budget adoption is where we are at today. We're required to do a budget adoption. It'll be updated throughout the year. If we receive a grant in January, we're going to amend the budget in order to allow the grant in there. Correlating is that if we find that our revenues are not hitting their projections, we will make adjustments within our expenses. And then, of course, I will always say that once we get done with this, once we get this budget adopted, we start for the next year. And actually, we're already in next year because we do a 5-year analysis of where our budget's supposed to go. So we're already preparing the next 5 years' budgets today as we walk through this. Key facts about this proposed budget. It is structurally balanced. It addresses all the known matters of interest and adopted priorities. So some of the things that we'll talk about more than likely are things that we have not had on our list before, or that the priority has changed within that. I say structurally balanced because we did fall back on our reserves. We have additional reserves out there above that 15% to balance out this budget. And that money needs to go back out into our community in order to help our community out with that work. And so that's out there. The same reason why we go out and we borrow money for the debt service. If you wait to save up all that money, we would move a lot slower, and we can't leverage the strength of our community against that borrowing where we can get those things done faster. And so I think when we talk about debt management and everything, we are very fiscally responsible within our debt management. We are well below the means of where we could be, and it is based upon our ability to repay that debt, and that we go through that all the time. One of the new things that we've added in this, and you'll see it on the CIP side, and these were prior year council directives that happened back in 2021, 2022, I believe, where the conversation with the council was that downtown needs additional help from the city. And so let's make the downtown not a District 8 issue. Downtown is a city-wide concern. We want, if the downtown is doing better, if it's rejuvenated, if it's recovered, it will be better for the city. The council had a motion and a decision to do that, but I never found it in our previous budgets from that decision. And that's what I'm saying, is that we put money in there this year to say we're taking care of that directive of the city council at that point in time. And we'll have future conversations. Mines Road came right after that one, and the same thing. Mines Road is a long parking lot. I'm sorry, but it is. It's like it is a very congested area, and you know we're appreciative of what TxDOT's working on as well too. But the council said Mines Road is a city-wide issue. It is not a District 7 issue. These things are very important to the city as a whole because it impacts all of our community in one way, shape, or form. Again, we never put any additional money within our budget and said, this is where we're going to commit our resources to. So those things are, and I want to lay those out there because as you look at new directives to the staff and budgeting and everything, be aware that that's the way the process should be. And we introduce that into the budget saying this is where we need to take care of that. We just got done with a successful CBA agreement with the police department. We have a 4 o'clock meeting scheduled for that today. Just so you know, because based upon our number of hours that we have in order to publish the meeting, that's why we're doing it at 4 o'clock. We'll take a break from this meeting if we're still here for this meeting, and we'll go into that one to adopt that, because what we did within that CBA agreement is that we put it into the budget. We're hoping that you consider the adoption of this negotiation. The police union actually voted on it on last Friday. They approved what we were doing for them. And just for everybody's sake, within that budget, in 2020, the police department, at our request, took 0% increase in their salaries. In 2021, they took 0% increase in their salaries. We were able to give them a lump sum at that point in time. But all our fire department and our general employees were able to get their percentage increases because when we talked about it, it hit at a better time. But I want to tell you that we appreciate the police department for that work. And so we're coming back this year and we're recognizing that we're providing them 3% for the 2020. We're providing the 3% for 2021. No, I'm not there yet. And now those 3% make up that difference in 2020 and 2021. We did the same thing for the fire department in 2022 and 23. Because in 22, the negotiations with the fire department went over that year. Just so you know, by law, we are not allowed to retroactively pay any of our people. So we built in a 3% for 2022 for our fire department and a 3% for that next year, and then they're following out the rest of their terms of their agreement. But I want to make sure you understand that we worked really hard with our people in order to get there, and so we've built this into the budget already. So we've removed some of the additional money in order to cover for that. I want to talk about the general fund stability, and looking back at some of the citizen comments as well too. This is the 22nd year that we've actually held our tax rate. Well, our tax rate in the city has not grown. It doesn't mean that the value of the properties haven't went up, but our city has not increased our tax rate. What we were able to do this year is that because we have an 11.4, 11.7% increase in our assessed valuation of our city, we had a reduction of M&O side, which is our maintenance and operations side, of 2 cents. We were able to move that 2 cents over to the INS side, which is our interest and sinking fund, which is our capital fund, which we do projects with. And so that allowed us to kind of move into that. So we've actually held our tax rate for the last 22 years. It hasn't grown. And so when we think about these things and when we think about how to get there, we've been very selective at how we take care of those things. But that actually allowed us, because of that movement and because we've introduced the certificate of obligations, we've introduced the PPFCOs, and I won't get into that, but that's a different funding certificate. And we've also reintroduced the tax notes. We have three different ways of how we handle our capital projects. We were able to take our capital projects for this year up to $82.7 million, where we've generally only had 40% of capital within our general fund. What that means is that we are able to replace vehicles that I would consider unsafe for our public safety people to handle. We are able to take care of the parks and recreation things that we are trying to take care of. We are taking care of things that have been put on a back burner for too long. And you've heard me preach about this, that we're loving our buildings to death, but we're not renovating those buildings when we need to. And some of this is coming due. That's what the bond referendum was about, is that we've loved our stuff to death. And I love that this council says we're not going to look at it that way. We're going to take a different approach on it. Really quickly, and I apologize if any of these numbers are really small for this, but really quickly on the total budget overview, it is a $1.01 billion budget. It is a 2.8% increase from last year. The general fund is a 2.5% increase, or 3.5% increase, and our tax rate has stayed the same for 22 years. I will state up in the little box at the top that we do continually get recognized nationally by the GFOA. I believe we're at 35 years for our financial accounting, and 33 to 35, and we are actually getting recognized for a budget presentation award as well too. So thank you to all of our staff for everything that they put into it. As you can tell, our property valuations went up 11.3%. Our reserves, we did maintain at the 15 minimum balance, but our goal is to get up into the 20 and 25% range. We want our reserves up to 25% because we get a better bond rating for that. So when we go and borrow our money, we don't want a higher interest rate, we want a lower interest rate. We want most of our money to be money that we can spend here in the city rather than to provide to the banks. And so our goal is to get our reserves up. It'll take us a couple of years to get up there, but we are moving that way. Public safety share of the general fund is at 62% with this budget, $178.4 million. And with 11.3% growth, and both of our public safety individuals have done a great job of holding the line, but we're working that way. All right. Just want to say again, thank you to the City Council, Mayor, City Council for this. These resolutions will go a long way. I think I've only been here, over 2 years. It'll be 3 in February. And the thing that I heard, and this is what frustrates me, is that there are enough individuals out there that have this distrust that we're not keeping our eye on taking care of our community. And I'm trying to change that model. And the only way I know how to change that is to put it down in writing and say, this is how we do it. This is why we do it. And if we do that, what'll happen is that now the public can say, well, all right, now I understand that, but I don't agree that we should be 15%. We should be 20, or we should be 30% reserved. It provides the public the ability to actually have a conversation with us where it's not so-and-so did this or was wrong or so-and-so did that. That frustrates me because the sad part is that local government is the only governmental entity out there that provides all the services to its people. I mean, police, fire, parks, streets, health. All of this stuff is done at the local level. We're so thankful when we get a grant, but we're trying to salvage our health department with $1 million lost because they've cut those grants in that system. We're balancing this out as best as we can, but these policies are going to be very helpful as we move forward. The reserves policy out there, the debt management policy, administrative fee resolution. And that's where, because we have our enterprise funds that operate on their own, but they don't have a human resource department. They don't have a legal department. They lean on the city's general fund. And I'm trying to protect the general fund for all those quality services that I just talked about. The enterprise funds need to fund in enough to help cover the indirect costs of what the general fund is covering for them as well too. The district funding resolution, this is a really nice one because I've heard all the comments about the priority funds or the slush funds and everything else. Just so you know, the funds that you all utilize for your benefit to help your district out or to help the city out, they are very structured. And we work very hard to make sure that the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, how that money is spent. And so by having this resolution, it will create even a more transparent process from where we were at. The district CIP funding. If we prioritize out the work that we have within the CIP and we take the highest project all the way down the lowest, there will be very little money left that can go into a neighborhood or anything else at that lowest level because that money will be gone on the bigger dollar items. This district CIP resolution is going to help fix that because a portion of those funds will be protected for each and every district. And so that structure will at least allow the public to understand there is a structure for that, but if we don't have a structure, it's not going to work well. And then the mandate-based budgeting framework, you'll hear me talk about mandate a little bit. There's a lot of conversations out there about priority-based budgeting or zero-based budgeting or all the different styles. We can come up with a lot of different terms. I'm coming up with the term mandate-based, and this kind of comes out of our conversations after the bond referendum. Because our people have said, we don't want you utilizing those revenue sources and to get that work done. I haven't heard from anybody that said the work doesn't need to be done. They just said, we don't want you to use that thing. So what we have returned to, and this is why the efficiency studies are important too, is that we are doing what's called mandate-based budgeting. There are certain regulations that we have. I mean, when our utility department is regulated by TCEQ, it's regulated by TDEM, it's regulated by EPA. We have to meet all those conditions of those regulations. Outside of that, then we have to find a way to make the utility affordable for everybody as well too. And so we are trying to base our budgets off of the mandate-based budgeting framework. All right. Over 70% of our budget is based upon people. And if I said this at my interview 2.5 years ago, people are our number one asset. People are one of our highest expense as well too. But they are, if we take care of an employee, they're actually the only thing that we're buying that appreciates over time. A piece of equipment, it depreciates. A building, it depreciates. You know, the employee, if you invest in your employees, they will appreciate over time. And I've followed this for a number of years with this, and that's why I want to make sure you understand that. And so when I talk about this, I just want to make sure you understand, as I try to help support those employees based upon your directives, because every one of you want to make sure that our people have a good job, make sure it's within balance of our systems and everything. But I will tell you that when we invest in our people, we get it so much better. I could park a truck, put everybody in backpacks, and they could still go out and do their work. I wouldn't do that to them in Laredo because we're too spread out. But that's the intent of that. We take care of our people, and I'll be able to show you over the next 6 months or so how we have been taking care of them and how we'll take care of them in the future. But this time, within this budget, 2 years ago we did our salary study for our general employees. 2 years ago, we got done with what's called the Siegel study. It got done right before we got here. It was implemented when I got here. Within that was 30 years of not looking at any of our classes of people and saying, where should they be placed? What do we pay for a solid waste worker? What do we pay for somebody out of the health department? What do we pay for this? We implemented that within our employee base. We just completed, at the early part of this year, our directors and our assistant city manager class. And that's that middle part of our supervision level. And so we are introducing those adjustments within our scale. And we're trying to place everybody now where they appropriately should be based upon the responsibilities of their job, based upon where they should be within that scope of the responsibilities. And so we're finishing that now. We do have built in here, because as you build a budget, I think we want to look at worst case scenarios rather than be short-sighted and say, well, where are we going to find the money for? We did build in a 4% increase. I have the justification for that for our general employees. It is within sustainable projections, and I think something that we have been talking about a lot because of our public safety side, we need to make sure that we are supporting retention. We need to make sure that we are staying competitive with our labor market. So we have built in there a 4% increase in there. And I will go back to the CBA with the police. In October, if you agree with us, there will be a 4% increase within that budget. And then in April, we will do the 6%. And so there's a 10% increase within that to take care of those past years and up to that. And so the police department was good with that. They approved that. And so that was the way to help the city, again, make sure that we can kind of balance out the budget and we can eat that elephant bite by bite. Same thing happens with our general employees. We have a 4% increase in there. 2.5% will happen at the time of the budget if you approve it. And that will be a 2.5% increase within the budget. And then in April, we do what's called a merit increase. Essentially, we'll move everybody that is on the scale that meets all the conditions. They're not on probation. There are all these requirements. They will see a 1.5% jump, and that's where the 4% comes in. And we started to build that budget out within that manner. Just so you know, compensation is just one part of the equation. This is my soapbox again. What we ask for in return from our employees is good service delivery. Customer service is number one. We want to make sure that we respect them, they respect us. And we want to make sure that they're taking care of our people. And the fun thing about Laredo is that all of our employees live here. Whether they're in city or right outside of the city, they are taking care of their family, they're taking care of their neighbors, their friends. That is the nature of local government. And we're creating this clear process. The upcoming efficiency studies will review the future annual increases, because I will explain to you the criteria that we're using. I do have that information ready to go, and we'll get to that when we get there. But I want to make sure that you understand that the efficiency study may adjust our conversations a little bit. But at all times, I will make sure, and based upon your direction, we're going to make sure that our employees are as taken care of as we can, because they are such an important asset for us. Public safety salaries, benefits, retirements. You approved at the last council meeting to go out and do a study, comparables, look at all of our pieces for our public safety, so that when we go into next year's multi-year negotiation, with police and fire, that we have the tools at our place so that we can make the right adjustments within those conversations, within those negotiations with our people. We're so thankful for our public safety people. Police and fire, we're so thankful that they're there when we need them. And we'll find that way to get there. Now, the challenge we have within the budget, and this is the part that you've heard from me, we don't have enough money to do everything for everybody. That's the challenge we have within our budget. We're trying to do the best that we can for everybody. There are priority services as you work your way down there, and they're the things that we really want to do, because it does change the lives of our people. Everything out there, if it changes one life, I think it does a lot of good things. But I wanted to make sure I covered the employee compensation side. Yeah, you probably can't see this, but really quickly on the capital improvement plan side, these highlights on this, if you go around in the pie that's there, we have $82.7 million in new projects out there. We are utilizing our certificate of obligations, our COs, at $24.1 million. We are using tax notes at $25.7 million. We're using the PPF COs at $32.9 million. We are doing $8.3 million in solid waste vehicle replacement. We're doing $37 million of utilities meter replacements within our structure. And we're still preparing for the World Trade Bridge expansion, as well as we're underway now with the Columbia Solidarity Bridge expansion as well too. We have all of this work going within that. I'm just so excited about the way we were able to make this work and keep the weight off of our people, off of our citizens. We were able to get this all done. And I would like to say that, you know, it's focused on the streets, public safety, and the parks, everything that makes a difference in our community and in our neighborhoods. That's what we're focused on. Several large projects, and this is my cautionary for the mayor and the city council. I've heard a lot about other projects that everybody wants to talk about. I have stated at least once or twice in this conversation already, the budget is a living document. We do not have to fix it today. We do not have to fix it tomorrow. But these projects, I want to make sure that we vet them out. I want to make sure that we put all the details to that. And then I also want, and you've heard me at the last couple of council meetings as well too, I want the mayor and the city council to have the chance to review it first before we go out there and we start spending a lot of time and effort on that. I do want to provide you with the recommendation, because what I have learned since I've been here over the 2.5 years as well too is Laredo time is different than anybody else's time. It's very unusual, but I'm catching up on that very well. Every one of our projects has a life. And so from the vision that starts it to the design of the project, it'll take us about 1 season to get a design done. That's where we're going to get our structure a lot tighter on any of the projects out there. So consider that the first year when we put a project out there, first year is all about the design. It's all about preparation of it. The second year becomes the construction. If it's all met all those different conditions and we have the money to pay for it and everything, we're going to move forward with the construction at that time. The council gets the vote on, I'm sorry about that, but you get a vote on everything at least 3 or 4 times before we ever get to it. You'll get tired of voting on things before we get there, but that allows for our system to kind of move within that structure. Projects that are not already approved, even if we were to throw projects out there today, my caution with that is that if we have not done the analysis, if we've not done the cause and effect of how to introduce that project in there, I'm all good. I would say just do it tentatively and let me go back and let me get with all my people and make sure that we have created exactly what those costs are. One of the things that we're doing in all of our projects now as well too, and we're trying to introduce that. We still have a few holdovers that are not out there. We are going to make sure that we have considered at least a 5-year M&O, maintenance and operations, for that, because when we improve something or we make something better, there's generally a cost on the other side that we have to maintain it now in a different way than we maintained it before. We're going to make sure that those numbers are there as well too. Finally, moving forward, I talked about the workforce support. I won't go into that anymore. We do utilize within this budget, I want to make sure that the public understands this as well too. We use a 5-year financial forecast. And so we are, I've got a crystal ball on my desk, just so you know. It's a Harry Potter style crystal ball. I got it during COVID. But what it is that we are trying to project out 5 years. And we are utilizing the trend of the last 3 years. So we're using how we spent in the last 3 years to project out how we will spend in the next 5 years. Not a perfect science, but it's going to be close. It's going to get us to where we need to go so that when we come down to making those decisions, we only have to nudge it, we only have to adjust it a little bit. We have utilities, we have solid waste and bridge rate studies underway so that we can make sure that all of these enterprise funds are sustainable and that the valuation is a fair cost recovery. And with most of these, we don't touch them very often, and I think they fall out of favor. And that's where we're out there doing $35 million in our meter replacement right now as well too. These rate studies are very important to make sure, one, we're protecting our bond ratings, make sure that we're borrowing money at the lowest amount possible, but also making sure that our utilities work the way they are supposed to. And, you know, our whole work was removing, with our boil water notice in October, you know, we learned a lot through that as well too, that we had gaps within how we were maintaining our utilities. We spent, in the last 5 years, we spent a lot of money on our plants to correct the problem from the boil water notice 5 years ago. What happened this time, it was infrastructure failure within our districts. We needed to replace that. Over 40% of our lines are over 50 years old. We need to update them. They depreciated in value, not like our employees that appreciate in value. All right, I have to take my time. All right, the other thing is efficiency measures and the district-focused investments policies in place. All of this has allowed us to reshift our focus on this, and this is what's going to be really good for the public. We're going to have that information out there. Everything that we do will be laid on the table for the mayor and the city council to look at and say, yes, this is, we should keep doing that. No, we can't get that done anymore. Those affected by that within our civic groups, our whatever the organizations are that rely upon the city to help support their missions as well too, they will be allowed to have those conversations as well too to get there. Finally, on the moving forward part, the full documents available, cityoflaredo.com. Go out there. If you search in that function, you'll find all the budget information. But if you go to the budget department, you go to the finance department, we've tried to make it as simple as possible. It shows up in 2 or 3 different sites. If you still cannot find it, email anybody. We will make sure that you get taken care of, because the whole idea about this is to make sure that the public has the information, because I think at times what they think is happening is not really happening within our structure. Mayor, City Council, that is my report to set the table for to talk about the budget in general. Are there any questions for me at this time?
No, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm really pleased with the work of our staff and the work of the council with this thing. Thank you so much for this. This budget is a very good step in a more defined direction, I think, than we've had in a long time. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. Jesus Esparza with the Budget Department. I just want to take a minute to thank all of you for being present for this budget workshop. I also want to recognize our department heads, directors in the audience. And I want to recognize the citizens from Laredo that I see here present. I'm happy to see that the citizens are here to see and experience the budget workshop. We did have this year a budget survey, as Mr. Knapp mentioned, because we are trying to incorporate the community in this process. As Mr. Knapp also mentioned, we want to make this budget process, or we all want to have ownership in this budget process. With that said, I wanted to kind of just show on something that Mr. Knapp mentioned. The transparency is that we have on our main page, if we go to the City of Laredo, I just want to kind of make sure that we also, I guess, want to recognize it. And so for our citizens that are watching on our live stream, when we log into our website, the first tab on the very top has the budget. It also has our CIP budget. So we're just waiting for the internet to catch up with us. Maybe we don't have.
All the way into the back. There you go.
Pícale, no, ojalá.
¿Quieres usar el micrófono? ¿Quieres tomar nada? ¿Quieres algo?
Sí, ya te doy chance. Déjale que lo gane. Déjale que lo gane. Van a poner presentation. It seems we have a little issue with the internet right now. We'll come back to it because I want to make sure that everybody watching live also can see as you log into the main website, we do have the budget available, the full document itself available to anybody that wants to see it.
So, do you want to take the mic since I'm here, or do you want to?
No, I'll be here. Okay. The first slide that I want to cover is our table of contents. This is the subject that, or the slides that I want to be covering in the presentation. This is a high-level presentation of the highlights of the budget for fiscal year 26. We will be covering the budget calendar, followed by the consolidated budget. We have the enterprise funds. We're going to be covering the enterprise funds, internal service funds, special revenue funds, our general fund. And then we're going to go into our general fund revenues and then changes, and our general fund expenses and changes. We'll be covering the FTEs, that is our full-time equivalent positions for the City of Laredo. And we will be followed by the list of the departments that are scheduled to be presenting. The last thing I want to cover is the motions that we're going to have for the budget process. I'm going to cover those. Those can be addressed at the end of the budget workshop for some of the changes that we need to do. What we proposed to budget on July 29 we already have a couple of changes for that. First item is our budget calendar. The focus here, this is when we begin the process, February, March, April, May. And as we are in August, right now we are in the August 14, 15 budget workshops. Some of the important dates to take away from here is our August 15, when we finish our budget workshop, we need to have a motion to accept the proposed budget with any motions discussed. That will give budget August 3 days to finalize and implement all these changes into our final adopted budget, which will be coming back in September. The deadline that we have for the publication for our September introduction ordinance is the August 20, and we'll have our September 2nd is our meeting for our public hearing and introduction ordinance for the budget, and the final reading will be on September 9. I'm sorry, that September 9 is our notice of tax rate, followed by our September 15 final reading of our adopted budget. As we move into the consolidated budget appropriation expenditures, as was mentioned, our total is 1.01 billion. The breakdown, as you can see in the donut chart on the right, general fund is budgeted at 287.8 million, representing 28.5% of the consolidated budget. We then have the special revenues. Special revenue funds are appropriated at 163 million. This represents 16.2% of the consolidated budget. And I will be going into the specific type of funds and what are in those specific funds. We do have the enterprise funds. Enterprise funds account for 393 million of the consolidated budget, representing 38.9. And then we have the internal service at 104 and other for $5 million. As we look to the other side of the equation for the consolidated budget, we do have 966 million in appropriations. And as we start from the top, general fund, as I mentioned, is 287.8 million is the budget for general fund, representing 29.8% of the consolidated budget. We have the special revenue funds coming in at 146 million that represent 15.1% of the consolidated budget. We have our enterprise funds expenditures, 376 million that represent 38.9% of our budget. This next slide is the consolidated budget publication notice. This is a notice that we print out in our newspapers for 5 consecutive days to meet all the requirements. And looking at the chart from left to right, and this chart has a lot of information in here. We have all the different fund types that we have. As I mentioned previously in the previous slides, we have general fund, special revenues, debt service, our permanent funds, our capital project funds, enterprise funds, our internal service funds, and our fiduciary fund. So this is the highest level of summary that we have out there, and it's what we publish for our citizens to view. On the top, I'm going to briefly go through what this chart has. On the top, beginning balances. These are our beginning fund balances that we have for all the types of funds, followed by revenues excluding transfers. Then we have our transfers that come into our different funds, followed by our revenues including transfers, which then make up our total available monies that we have, total available monies. Then we have our operating expenditures and transfers, followed by our closing balance. Now I want to bring attention to the bottom right corner here because we have the total operating budget, 1,011,211,422. We are taking off here in this illustration less operating transfers. We have operating transfers of 287,706,532, which brings us to our net operating budget of 723,400,000 $504,890 for the city of Laredo. This is an illustration that we show because those intergovernmental transfers that we have revenues coming into our general fund, but then we have a transfer, for example, that goes into our health department. That's an intergovernmental transfer, that's an expense for general fund, that becomes a revenue for the health fund. So those transfers, we are required to show the transfers alone, so we can then determine what our total net operating budget is for the city of Laredo. So even though we have our total appropriations that we have of 1.01 billion, our net operating budget is 723 million. In my next slides, I'm going to be going now into the specific type of funds and what funds fall within those categories. So for example, in our enterprise fund, this is our funds that are treated like businesses, our bridge department being our top one of our top ones. We have approximately $100 million in appropriations in bridge. This includes not only the bridge operations, but it includes bridge construction, bridge debt service. So within there, we have multiple funds within this bridge enterprise funds. Bridge represents 25.5% of our enterprise 393 million appropriations.
Sir,
Go ahead, yes, sir.
can you just explain right now, real quick, the total operating expenditure and the less operating transfer? Because right now, people we're seeing, they're gonna ask, why do we have 1 billion and then 7 million, 700 million? So they're just, where is that money coming from? And why does it bring us to that amount?
Yes, thank you, Councilman, for that question.
I was just asking Ms. Councilman Cigarroa, so right now, for me, it's like, is this, the grant, okay, so can you just explain it, break it down for
Yes.
the public?
When we work our budget, we have line item appropriations.
Okay.
So each line item has an amount that we appropriate for, both for revenues and expenditures. But the net operating budget represents excluding, we're pulling out those transfers between departments so that we don't double count them.
Okay.
So even though we have $1 billion in appropriation, I don't want to count the appropriation in general fund, which is going to the health department twice.
So those those budgets are coming from grants and or from where?
They can be from grants, but they're mainly coming from one fund to another fund. So they're crossing from general fund to the health department fund or to bridge fund coming into general fund.
Okay.
So for example, general bridge, we receive approximately $43 million coming in. So if I don't account for that transfer, my budget, the 1 billion includes it twice. So
Okay.
that is why we need to illustrate that. And this illustration, and I'm glad you're asking that question because this is what gets published in our newspaper. So I want to make sure that our citizens understand that, yes, we do have $1 billion budget,
Yeah.
but when I pull out those transfers, monies that are moving from one fund to the other fund, our true monies coming in is $723 million, not necessarily $1 billion.
That's an operation budget.
Yes.
Okay, so those 287 are transferred net. Okay.
Mr. Esparza, Dr. King has a question.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Esparza, you just mentioned 43 million in bridge revenue, but you have,
Yes.
you have 100 million for expenditures.
Yes.
For the enterprise funds and the special funds, you only, at least in the charts, put the expenditures. So I'm not seeing that 43 million unless you're.
I have a slide, Dr. King, coming up where it specifically talks about the transfer of the 43. Like I mentioned, in the bridge category here, we have multiple funds in there. So the total budget for bridge is not the full 100 million. It's all bridge, construction, debt service.
Okay, and then going back to page 4, the consolidated budget expenditures, for special revenue, enterprise fund and internal service funds, the expenditures are all more than the revenues. Are you going to explain which transfers are going into which fund? Because, I mean, these enterprise funds, I thought they were supposed to be relatively self-sustainable, so to see the special revenue funds, 14, 17 million less revenue than expenditures, and then enterprise fund, 17 million
I can-
more expenditures than revenue. That's what I'm trying to.
Yes, I can give you an example of that, Dr. King, is that in our enterprises, and Mr. Neb mentioned this in his presentation as well, as to having a structural balanced budget. Some of the departments, for example, solid waste. Solid waste is doing a drawdown on their fund balance for the $8 million of their vehicle replacement program. So when you compare revenues and expenditures, because we're drawing down on the beginning fund balance for this type of expenditures, those two numbers won't necessarily tie. So that's why we have $1 billion in appropriations, $966 million in revenues, because some of the difference of the monies here is coming from our beginning fund balances.
Okay, and then just a light question that I think everyone in the room's asking is, why couldn't the consolidated budget be 999.9 million instead of 1.01 billion? But I'm just kidding, but we're trying to keep it
Just
below.
under that
but,
mark.
Thank you for that question,
you
Dr.
know,
King.
0.02 difference we could have got under there, but nonetheless, okay, thank you.
Thank you. So go and continue. Yes. Go ahead, Councilwoman Figueroa.
So, Mr. Esparza, the appropriated, going back to the consolidated budget and the appropriated expenditures, it's reflecting that $1.01 billion, which, as you said, reflects the double posting. So the bridge department is a city department, it receives funds, and then it sends $40 million to our general fund, which is the city.
Correct.
So essentially, it's being double counted. And that's why you have that difference, that operating transfer, and that's why you make the adjustment to 723, so that the 40 million in revenue is only counted one time.
That is correct, Councilwoman.
Why,
And
Why
let
do-
me,
why do
this,
we,
this presentation is a GFOA requirement, so when anybody sees our budget document from the outside, can see that we have the intergovernmental transfers coming in. So it is a GFOA requirement, best practice that we need to follow.
to follow it,
Yes.
and to show it like it is. So we have to show, we have to show the budget having those double numbers to identify where the revenues are coming in. But at the same time, we want to adjust it so that people understand we're only working with $723 million.
That
at
is
the end.
correct.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very well said. Any other questions related to the
No, sir.
consolidated?
Go ahead with the presentation.
Okay, thank you. As I was talking about the enterprise appropriation expenditure 393, we had bridge. Utilities is one of our biggest departments as well. The utilities water is at $112 million. That represents 28.4% of the enterprise funds. Our utility source system is 77 million, which represents 19.6% of our enterprise funds. So between those two, they make the majority. Utilities is one of our biggest departments that we have with our enterprise funds, which is about 49% of the enterprise funds. We have then solid waste, $58 million, representing about 14.6% of our enterprise funds, followed by our transit system, which is a component unit department within the city at 44 million, which represents about 11.3% of our enterprise funds. We then have our internal service funds. Our internal service funds are funds that provide us service inside of the city, fleet management, being a perfect example of that. At 25 million budget, they represent 23.6% of the internal service funds. We have our health and benefits fund, which is our biggest internal service. This is the fund that provides the insurance for our employees at $57 million, representing 54.4% of the internal service funds, followed by risk, 13 million, and IST, our information and technology, at $9 million.
Can I go back one, Mayor?
That one?
Can you go back one, right there? Can you explain to me a little bit more on the 100 million for the bridge? Expenditures, and explain to me a little bit more detail of how that expenditure comes about and what other sources of revenue that we have that help the bridge system survive.
The bridge system main source of revenue is its tolls. It has some money that comes in as rental as well, but the main majority of the money is the tolls. I would say most of it is the tolls. And then they do have also some interest income because of their fund balance that they do earn some interest as well.
Is it a self-sustaining operation?
Good question.
Yes, bridge is self-sustaining, and that is the only reason we're able to bring in monies into general fund. And it also pushes money into their debt service for their payments and in their capital improvements.
The reason I bring up this question is because I think there's a little bit of a misconception on the bridge being self-sustaining when we have, at times, I believe that the general fund gets to manage it for a little bit, right? So it's initially it's not self-sustaining right now.
Yeah, and Mayor and City Council, I wanted to step in on this one because this is something that we've been looking at very closely as we walk through the rate study. I think that, and it depends on who you're talking to and everything. The bridges are a blessing and a curse to the city of Laredo. They are a very good resource for us as well too. San Antonio, their electric utility actually helps them balance out their budget and everything. In Laredo, it is our bridge service. There is probably a misconception out there that the bridge subsidizes our general fund. But I would argue that, and this is what we're finding in our rate study, and I'm just going to give you a kind of a shot across the bow on some of this because it's not really true. Because of the bridge's needs, because of the impact of like Mines Road and all, where every third vehicle is an 18-wheeler vehicle in our city, we now have to have a police department that is significantly bigger and different than what it is. The border also has an impact on that, but the bridges have an impact on that. Our general fund, for a number of years, has been subsidizing the bridge operations. And as an enterprise fund, that's why we have to look at these rates and everything. That's why we have to make sure that we're balancing all of that out there, because our fire department would not have to be as expensive as our police department. Our street infrastructure would not have to be to the level it is if we did not have that impact on top of it. So the conversation we will be having with the mayor and the city council, and I think I've told the mayor, I think the rate study will be back for us, and we'll be able to do a public presentation by September 17th, where we'll be able to put that information. We'll be able to start talking to the port of entry. We'll be able to start talking to all the other individuals out there that are impacted by this, is that bridge as an enterprise fund is very important to us, but it also creates a lot of needs for us as well too. And because of the system of how we had built that, 50% of the toll goes to the general fund, 50% stays with the bridge. We are obligated by law to make sure that our enterprise fund, our bridge service, is maintained at its level. It has to be self-sustaining within that. And so our structure that our forefathers did for the bridge system with us set this thing in place for that. And excuse me. And that's where the tolls are 50-50. What I'm saying, though, is that when we've looked at previous rate studies for the bridge, we've only looked at the comparables and the side of how a bridge operations work. Because of the nature of that industry on our city, we have to look at both sides of that. And so I think that answers your question a little bit there, is that our general fund, because we've been able to utilize our resources the way it has been, we've been able to offset the impact of the bridges on our services by bringing it out of the general fund. What we're now seeing is that we need to kind of balance that out a little different.
Mayor, if I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, no, go ahead. He answered my
Hey,
question.
how much have we subsidized from the general fund back to the bridge? Do you have those numbers right now, or is it?
I would hope, I would wait for that study to come out in order to have all that detail there, so we can have a full conversation.
And
about
how long has it been that we haven't raised those tolls on the bridges?
Well, and that's, we have, the city has done toll adjustments. I think all the way back to 2013, I think we adjusted the pedestrians that across. I think there was some non-commercial that happened in 2015. I believe in 2017, we had some of the smaller axle commercial vehicles adjusted. We've never looked at our rate study, I think, for a period of time in a very holistic approach with all of that impact on that. And I would never give up that resource to the city. But the idea is that we have to make sure, because a lot of the conversations you guys have at your level is the impact that the bridge has on all of our neighborhoods as well too. So it's a blessing and a curse. And so I think the nature of this thing and where we're headed with that. So when we talk about these things, we're very happy that our rates are set to make sure that the bridge remains sustainable. And just so you know, we are one of the most advanced bridge systems out there with our fast lanes, with all the infrastructure we have. We're the #1 port of entry in the Western Hemisphere.
Yes, sir.
As the mayor is so happy to share as well too. We are. But with that comes is that there is a city of 260,000 population beating Los Angeles, beating New York, beating Houston. With that impact on our little community at 260, and we can go both ways with the 260, but that impact is there. And so the idea is that what we want to make sure that we're looking at that, because again, the idea is to not, our goal is always to break even and make sure that all of our services are sustainable within that structure. And so those conversations are coming. I don't know, you could debate it. I would argue that every year that we've succeeded in the past, we made it.
No.
You know, so your predecessors did the right things at the right times and brought us to today. Our job is to make sure that we set everything up for the future.
What's the current total amount as of today?
The total amount from bridge that comes over to the general
Yes.
fund is at 70.
But the amount of,
43 million?
no, I mean, 43 million. but
43 million.
But I mean, the amount we charge for vehicle crossing.
Well, it depends on axle, it depends on a lot of different things. There's like 15 different numbers.
You don't have a rough estimate of the most 18?
I'd be off on every one of those numbers. We do have them posted on our website, no. But no, I think they are, and when we look at our comparables, we're affordable. And in my goal is to try to make sure that we're making those right adjustments. And that information is coming on September 17th. We'll start being able to get that information out to you very, very soon so that we can start analyzing that, because I definitely, because of the impact to our industry, we want to make sure that it's for the right reasons. So,
Thank you, sir.
Just to kind of come back to the question Councilmember had on the bridge. Bridge generates about $89 million, of which 86 is in tolls.
I'm sorry, sir?
So I do want to mention, and for everybody that's watching us, and I'm going to try one more time in a little while to attempt to go to our website and show you where what it is posted. This is the budget book. It's over 500 pages of information in there. Page 75 in this book talks about the bridge department and the different funds the bridge has in there. So we will try again to access that so I can show it live to everybody's watching.
That's where I
No,
know.
no, so that we'll get into detail with that.
Yes. As we look into the fiscal year 26 special revenue funds, these are the appropriations for the special revenues are 163 million. In here, we have funds like our sports and community venue at 39 million, representing 23% of our special revenue fund category. We have our health grant, grants, which is a special revenue at a $42 million, which represents 26% of the special revenue funds. We have police grants, 26 million. We have airport, 21 million. Environmental services, 10 million. Community development, 6 million. Hotel motel, 5 million. Conventions and Visitors Bureau, 5 million. Our IT department again, 4 million. We have our Parks and Recs, it's a special revenue fund outside our general fund, Parks and Recs, of $3 million. And those are our special revenue funds that we have. This brings us now to focus on the main general fund, which is the fund that provides most of the core services for the city of Laredo. This is the fund where we have our public safety, parks, public works, streets. So we're estimating our opening fund balance for general fund to be at $54.8 million. We have revenues of $287,831,145, which matches our expenditures. So if our revenues and expenditures are equal, we're expecting to have an estimated fund balance of 54.8 for next year as of September 30. Now, this is an estimate based on our estimated ending fund balance. This represents approximately 20% fund balance. So as Mr. Net mentioned, we are required to have 15, we're at 20 budgeted numbers, and our goal is to try to get to 22 and 25 in the future.
Oh, Mr. Esparza, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That 20%, is that, oh, Mayor, I'm sorry. That's an improvement, no, from last year? Wasn't
Yeah,
it-
yes,
wasn't
we
it-
were at 19 point something last year.
Okay, so that's good news.
Yeah, so we're moving forward. Our goal, and one of the things that has been one of our goals to do is increase our fund balance for our financing mechanism and our, the evaluations for our bond rating agencies.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Esparza, so going back just one to the special revenues, appropriated expenditures, I think Dr. King pointed out that the revenue is less than the expenditures, right? So the special revenue funds collects $146 million. That's their revenue source. And yet the appropriated expenditures are $163 million. That difference then is made up of drawing into balances that they have accumulated in the past, so their bank account essentially?
Correct.
Okay, because the difference is about 20 million.
Yes, and we strategically, and we have these funds, we have, within this, each fund of this, they may have multiple funds in there. So we strategically, when we see that they have an adequate fund balance, one of the things that a special revenue fund has is that they're not supposed to also have a huge fund balance as well. So, because those revenues are for specific purposes. So at times when we see those fund balance adequately enough that we don't have to finance for anything, we'll utilize the fund balance in there.
Okay, thank you.
So now going into the fiscal year 26 proposed general fund revenues, 287.8 million. Once again, our top three revenues for the city of Laredo are property taxes at 98 million estimated for next year, representing 34.2% of our general fund revenues, followed by our sales tax at 57 million, and our bridge transfer that we mentioned earlier of 43 million. We do have a slight decrease from the previous year. We're adjusting based on this year's estimate, and we are projecting 43 million coming in for the proposed budget. Follow, we have charges for services at 41 million, representing 14%. And then these are our main revenue line items. Then we have licenses and permits at 11 million, other financing sources, 10 million, franchise fees at 9 million, rents and miscellaneous, 9 million, fines and forfeitures, 6 million, and then other taxes, 4 million. As we look into our expenses by activity for fiscal year 26, public safety is at 178 million. We have made some adjustments to this presentation based on the collective bargaining that Mr. Net mentioned earlier on his side. So we're representing now, public safety is at 62% at the 178 million. General government is 42 million, representing 14.5%. Culture and recreation, which is our parks departments, at 27 million. We have transfers of 16 million. Public works at 12 million. Other finance uses 8 million. Insurances at 4 million, and health and wellness.
Mayor,
Our-
sorry, Mr. Can you just, do you have the numbers of breaking it down by police and fire separately? Not a big fan of like grouping them together. It's just nice to.
The approximately for the police, it's 98 million.
Okay.
80 million for fire department.
Okay, thank you.
As we look at the expenditures by category, personnel, 214 million. That represents 74.4% of our expenditures. And this falls in line, as the comments were made, that this is our biggest expense as well. Contractual services, 40 million. Intergovernmental transfers, 16 million. Materials and supplies, 10 million. Other charges, 7 million, and miscellaneous, 1 million. And these are the expenses by category.
Can
Now-
I just ask one question on that? Thank you, Mayor. Please explain on the personnel issue. Given the fact that we're doing an efficiency study right now, we will find out whether we're appropriately staffed at every level, right?
Correct.
Is that what we're hoping to see that number? And then, and it'll justify the cost of having personnel exactly where we need them and the right people at the places that we want them, correct?
That is correct,
Thank you.
Councilman. As we look at to the increases in the revenues generated $9.8 million. This chart shows where the monies are going to, or where the monies are coming from first. So taxes in the proposed budget generated an additional $7.7 million of revenue, approximately 5.10%. Licenses and permits generated 655, representing 6.6%. Intergovernmental revenues generated 52,000. Our charges for services generated an additional $16 million. This is one of the changes that we did this year of the administrative resolution fees, going from 5 to 10% from the enterprise funds. Fines and forfeitures decreased 328,000, negative 5% decrease. We have a fees and collections increase 195,000. Rent, royalties, and interest decreased by 4,000. Our reimbursements and miscellaneous revenues decreased by 152,000. And our other financing sources decreased by 14.3 million. The takeaway here is, as you can see, the personnel, 7.7, our biggest expense that we have. And then we have, our taxes. And then we have our charges for services helped us in reducing our reserves that we had been using in the past. So this, you can see the 14 translating into the 16. And these are the revenue side of the 9.8, where the monies came from that increased our budget.
Mayor, Of the 65% increase that we have there for charges for services, what mostly contributed to that?
The administrative fees.
Examples?
The administrative fees is what we talked about earlier, is the charges that we do to the enterprise funds
Yeah.
for the Human Resources Department, the City Manager's Department, Finance, Budget, all the
Okay.
departments that assist the enterprise funds in their function.
Got it, thanks.
As we now talk about property taxes, which is, I mentioned, one of our largest revenue line item, the charts on the left represent the total taxable value for the city of Laredo. As you can see from fiscal year 22, moving to the right towards the proposed fiscal year 26, you can see the increases that we consistently had increases in our property taxes. It did slow down a little bit this year. Our total taxable valuations are at 26.6 billion compared to our last year's valuations of 24.3 billion.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Esparza, is the primary change from fiscal year 21-22 to now in the trade sector? Or is there a way to know that?
There is a way. We do have, I don't have the information right now going back to 22, but between 25 and 26, we do have the detail as to was it coming from the commercial or residential. And I can provide you a copy of those reports as well.
Thank you.
As we look at the right side of the chart, we have the tax rates for the City of Laredo going back from 21 to 22. If you can see on the top, our total tax rate back in fiscal year 22 was 0.61537, of which we had a debt service rate to pay our debt of 14,595. And back in fiscal year 22, our M&O rate was 0.46942. As you move forward to the proposed budget, you can see the decline in our total tax rate in both our debt service rate and our M&O rate. Our proposed tax rate for fiscal year 26 is 0.50609 compared to last year's of 5.0762. We do have a slight reduction in our overall tax rate. As we look into the top for our debt service, the proposed is 0.12849. Did go up from last year's debt service rate. And our M&O is at 0.37760, which did reduce from last year's 39689. So the proposed tax rate for the City of Laredo for next year is 0.50609 for next year. Property tax revenue. As we look here, we talked about the top 25-26, we have the 98.2 generated by that appraisal. And then we have 33.4 million generated for our debt service. And you can also see in the charts, you can see the increases as we have been moving back from fiscal year 23. General fund sales tax. We have also consistent increases in our sales tax going back from fiscal year 22 at 44 million. We have a proposed 57.6 million on sales tax projected for next year.
Mr. Mayor? What would change on the general fund sales tax? Why is the increase?
The increase in
Yeah, the estimate and the proposed. Like from 23 to 24, 23, 24, the estimate for 24, 25, but 24, 20.
The first three columns here represent actual monies that we receive. We are estimating this year.
What would bring those monies in? Like what's gonna bring those taxes?
The additional money for sales tax.
That's-
Sales tax is dependent on how the sales that we have throughout the city is our sales tax. So if our economy is doing good, if we have customers buying a lot of items, that is where the generation of the sales tax comes in.
Yes, I understand that, but what I'm asking you is is there a specific, is there more trading? Is there more business coming up? What is it that is increasing the estimate, the proposed?
The proposal is based on the 3-year trend that we're looking, but I think what's driving that increase is that additional shopping that we have, either from local shopping or external shoppers that are coming into our community and buying our products in Laredo. So,
Go ahead.
Can you estimate what a 0.5% sales tax revenue generates?
we can do that.
More or less.
We can do that. The total sales tax is broken up into different categories, which is the city's portion, the portion that goes to transit, and the portion that goes to our sports community venue tax. So in general fund, we get approximately 58 million in sales tax. In the sports community venue, we get approximately about 14 million. And transit, we get about 14 million, which is a 2/4 cents that we have.
Can you divide that up by percentage?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
See, this is what I was talking about. He was talking about 100 million right now, and I know this bridge transfer is gonna be, he's proposing 43 right now. He said that it,
Just to confirm, Councilwoman, you want to get the equivalent of 1%?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But also to know the divisions between, like, how much percentage is allocated to the city? How much percentage is allocated to transit?
Got you. See, so the state gets 6.25. We get Laredo municipal tax is 1%, and then we have the 1/4% for the sports community venue and the 1/4 cent for the transit.
Go ahead, you have a
Is-
comment?
Is,
You have the dollar?
And we're trying to get I'm trying to do it.
You have it on the mayor?
All right.
We have a slide that actually has the dollar and how much each entity gets from.
No, not for that.
oh,
No.
okay. Is there a county division as well?
Yes.
What would that be?
The county, I don't. 50%. 0.5%, sorry.
0.5. Okay, thank you.
Better not to.
I'll bring it back. Mr. Esparza, can you
So,
just?
so 1% is what we get, which generates us the 57.
Yeah. Mr. Esparza, anyway, okay, we get
So,
it.
and that's why I'm a little confused as to what number you want to get to. The 1% that we get generates $57.6 million.
Mr. Esparza, if I'm not mistaken, Mayor, if I may, I'm sorry. Can you bring it back, and I'm sorry if I'm bringing it back. You said that proposed for, the 100 million from the bridge. Why is it that we're proposing 100 million and if it's only given 43?
We only take 50%.
Like, can you break it down for us?
We take 50% of the tolls. So the
the bridge revenue fund keeps.
Yep.
We keep the other.
Okay.
It's 86.
Sí, perdón.
I know, but it's, we broke it down to 86.
Sí.
On page 11 of the budget book, actually, page 11 of the consolidated budget book, we have 87. 87 is a total budget for bridge operations, but it's not the tolls. The tolls is what we take half, which is for $86 million. So that's why we're taking $43 million into general fund. The totals are 86. Even though general funds, even though bridges has multiple funds, they generate $100 million, but we only take 50% of the totals. Yes. Whatever they generate for constructions or debt service goes into those funds to take care of any debt service payments, any improvements that they have for the bridges that are, we see that if it's a $5 million improvement that they're doing on the bridge number 1, we don't finance that. We do it in-house.
In-house. Thank you, sir.
My next slide is the FTEs. Okay, sorry. Going back to the proposed, we covered the revenue increases. Now we look at the expenditure side. So we have a 9.8, same amount of money, and now where did the monies actually go? As you can see, the very top one, personnel, to $13 million of our personnel costs. What helped us offset that was our other charges of $5.2 million. And we had contractual services increased by $1.9 million. Our materials and supplies increased by $524 million. So most of the money that comes in goes into our personnel line items. And that is why it is very difficult when we're trying to reduce or reduce line items, because it's all mainly in personnel. FTEs means full-time equivalent position. One FTE for the city of Laredo equates to 2,080 hours. So when we have an FTE that works 2,080 hours, is one FTE. If we have a position that works 1,048 hours, which is half, it would be a 0.5 FTE. So, this is how we account for the full-time equivalent positions, the authorizations that we have. So total City of Laredo projected for fiscal year 26, we have 3,621.16 FTEs, of which transit has 185.9. General fund has 1,875 FTEs in blue. And then we have the other funds have 1,560.26 FTEs. And you can see the history here is we've been pretty much consistent in the FTEs going back to fiscal year 23. We had 34, we have 36 in there. So we have approximately 200 positions that we've gained in the last 3 years. Now the estimated cost for the personnel costs, the COLA, we have two columns here that represent the total city cost, but we also want to see what the costs are to general fund, because that is the fund that we struggle to balance. So the COLA effective 10/1 is costing the city $3.5 million across the city. As we look to general fund, the cost to the general fund is $1.3 million. As we look at the fire contract, $885,000 is the cost citywide, and we do have all our fire department is within general fund. $885,000 for general fund is a full impact. Police, was talked about earlier, we have a 4% scheduled for October 1st and a 6% on April 1st. The 4% estimated cost citywide 2.5, estimated cost for general fund is 2.3. Police department does have grants, so those grants do cover the contract increases for those officers under the grants. The 4/1 increase that we have of 6%, citywide, $8.9 million. General fund, $1.8 million. And the reason that it's costing us less, even though it's more of a percentage, is because we're doing it mid-year.
Sir, Mayor, if I may. And all this, the FTEs, all of them, are there open positions? Are they all covered? Or are they just open and waiting for, like I'm saying, like for transit and for the other ones? Are they just waiting, or?
These are authorized authorizations. We do
How
have
long-
vacancies and
And how long have they been open?
these positions?
Yeah.
Let me go back to it real quick here. So as you can see, for example, in '23, we had, in general fund, we had 1,811 FTEs. As we move forward to the following year, we had 1,816, so we gained some positions. So once we adopt the budget, we're adopting the positions, and there are the authorized positions for the next fiscal year. So we always begin with the previous year and make any changes, additions, or deletions, and those become our new authorized FTEs for the following year. Insurance, the total cost for the insurance increases that we did for the city is 2.3 million. For general fund is 1.3 million. We did have a slight reduction in our overall pension rate, so we did have a savings, approximately 100,000 citywide. And the TMRS is for our regular employees, our firefighters have their own pension, which is the next one below that. We had an increase of 126,000 in general fund for the fire pension increase. And this is due to the collective bargaining agreement that we have, and we've had increases in there about 0.25 moving forward.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Esparza, going back to TMRS, a reduction citywide, $101,177, general fund, $55,000. How do we have a reduction in TMRS, or what happened with TMRS that there's a reduction with it?
We have a rate that we pay. The employees, our contribution rates.
7 and 14.
714. However, our current rate is higher based on we're catching up. So our current contribution rate is about 20%. 21%. It did go down a little bit this year. Even though we have more personnel, because that rate went down, our overall contribution for the pension did go down because of the rate going down.
So it's not because of the reduction of employees?
Correct.
It's simply because of the
The
bond?
rate.
went
So
through.
let's say the rate is 21.5, it went down to 21.2.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Workers' comp, we had a slight increase as well, 89,000 citywide, 64,000 general fund. And then we have the cost for the 10-year achievement, or what we're calling for our employees that is scheduled for April 1st. $1 million for citywide, 408 general fund. And once again, these numbers are less because we're doing them at mid-year in combination. So even though we're doing a 4, the 10-year is at mid-year at 1.5%, 1.5%. That brings me into the presentations. We do have the following departments coming up, following me on their department presentations. We have the Utilities Department, Parks and Recs, Fleet, Solid Waste. We have Planning, Animal Care, and Public Works. We do have one more item that I want to cover, which is our holiday schedule. Based on how we have our ordinance, we bring the holiday schedule to council for approval. These are the dates that we have from last year. So we will need a motion to reapprove these holidays, which brings me into my next slide. This is a slide that we have potential motions, and we can do these motions once we finish hearing the presentations, unless you all want to address them earlier.
Mayor, I'd like to motion to approve the holidays from last year as well.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The holidays?
Motion passes.
Motion for the holidays
Okay,
only.
we will have as well motion for the wage schedule adjustment of 1.5% on October 1st. We will have the 10-year achievement adjustment of 1.5% effective April 1st. We will have the holiday schedule was just approved. And then we do have the transfer of 4.2 million, and Mr. Knapp mentioned this earlier, as it relates to the collective bargaining, because we had submitted the proposed budget on September 29 prior to the approval or pending the approval by council on this item. We would need to do a motion to transfer 4.2 million from the general fund reserve line item to the police department personnel line items for the contract increase as well.
Mayor, question.
Yeah.
Do we need to do this before we approve the contract or if we should
We-
approve
we
it at
can-
4:15 this afternoon?
This is budget related, so
Okay.
you could do this one, and then you still have to approve the contract.
The contract before then. Motion to approve what's before us now.
Okay, motion? Second. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion passed.
So we'll leave the other three motions for later on in the workshop?
No, sir.
they're all
What's
approved.
before us now,
Okay,
they've all been
gotcha.
approved,
Perfect.
correct, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Lundin, did you have a question?
No,
No, okay.
those were all.
Thank you.
That concludes my, my budget overview presentation. I want to once again thank you all. I want to thank all the department directors that participated and worked hard on this. I want to thank my staff, and I want to thank all the citizens that are here to listen to this. We will continue with the presentations, but department presentations for the remainder of the budget workshops.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, may I?
Thank
Mr. Esparza, just a few words. I want to thank your staff specifically. They did a wonderful job. I know it's been months and months of dealing with us, and I know we're very difficult, but you all do get things done for us, and I really appreciate that. And to all the directors for cutting their budgets, they were able to do so to make budget work like it does. And you're presenting a great budget to us this year. I appreciate all the work that you and your staff have been doing for us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman, for that
Here,
recognition.
here.
And I'd like just a minute to present my staff. I want to present Abril Mosqueda, and I also want to present Jonathan Hernandez. We did have,
Welcome, guys. Thank you.
we do have three other budget staff, which we lost one to our school district, went to go become a teacher. We lost one to the private sector. So we are down three staff members. I want to commend my staff for stepping up to the plate and making sure that we complete our presentations and our process for your
And you still accomplished it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, this is the city's main page, that first top.
Mr.
as you-
Esparza,
as you-
excuse me, Mayor, may I?
Yes,
Just
go
one more thing. Excuse me, and I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but I heard you were here all night with the decorations, so a huge thank you to you, sir. Thank you for everything that you made this room look
Thank you.
nice.
I'm very happy you all like the present, the,
No, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. That took a lot from you. Really, really, really.
He is available for birthday parties.
That's fantastic. That's good to know.
so as you log into the page, main website, the first thing you see there is the proposed budget. If you hit on that link, it'll take you to the budget. The one that I hit right now was the CIP, which is the second document that is there. And I know that Mr. Ramon Chavez is next to present on the CIP. But those two documents, we try to make them very easy for anybody to log in and see them. We also have them in our budget website, budget page, along with some other relevant information from all the budget workshops and presentations that we've had.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, may I? Mayor and members of City Council, Ramon Chavez, Assistant City Manager for the city. Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor, as I'm pleased to present the capital improvement plan for the proposed FY 2026, FY 2030 for our city. So the capital improvement plan, it's a strategic planning tool that guides the identification, evaluation, and financing of major capital projects anticipated over a 5-year period. Benefits of the capital improvement plan include a clear assessment of local needs, alignment with community interest and long-term goals, promotion of financial stability, enhanced collaboration in city governance. So capital improvement projects for the city of Laredo encompass the acquisition, construction, renovation, or major improvement of physical assets that provide long-term value and service to the community. There's minimum investment, there's long-term use, and some of that are non-routine nature. This is not the same one, right? Okay. I apologize, Mayor. It looked a little different than the one you have before you.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, we had the one. So priorities for the CIP, some of these, they're mandated because they were legally required. Some of them are through obligation because we have existing agreements. There's high priority because we sometimes have urgent for safety, infrastructure, maintenance to preserve and extend the life of existing infrastructure, and or we desire some of these to improve the quality of life. These are the categories of our CIP, and so every project that you're going to see before you either has to do with mobility infrastructure, public health and safety, utilities infrastructure, culture and recreation, our Port Laredo being the #1 inland port, information technology, facility improvements, and our neighborhood improvements. As I was mentioned earlier, again, we will be adopting this CIP next month. But it's a continuous work that our department does throughout the year. As we finish in September adopting the capital improvement plan, we immediately begin in October. We have internal engagement, external engagement. We identify these needs, we verify information, we prioritize it, and then we submit it for mayor and city council approval as we propose this CIP book, which is more than 446 pages. Some of the major accomplishments in FY 2025, again, the City of Laredo Tennis Complex at TAMIU. We were able to construct the Springfield Avenue Extension, Phase 2A, and Springfield Phase 4 for the community. We extended network fiber in South Laredo from the fire station on Zacatecas all the way to El Eden Rec Center. We had improvements at our Laredo International Airport for taxiways. We had improvements downtown on Zaragoza Street. And moving forward, some of our goals for this upcoming fiscal year will include, of course, the Buena Vista Sports Complex, the Police South Sector Station, the Plaza Theater, Flecha Lane realignment, State Highway 84, Bruni Plaza, Boulevard of the Americas, improvements to our World Trade Bridge building, and our City of Laredo Health Department accessibility upgrades that we're underway. The budget for capital projects do not lapse at the end of the fiscal year, okay? But they remain in effect until the project completion. Okay, so that's one of the things that it's very important. Not because the project is not complete, the funding will lapse. No, this funding will be available throughout the project as we present them to mayor and council. The city remains committed to investing, again, maintaining its capital assets, including streets, parks, public safety facilities, and other public infrastructure. For FY 2026, the estimated capital project budget is $535.8 million, with a projected total investment over 5 years of more than $2.9 billion. And you can see it here on the graphic. Out of the $2.9 million, 18.4% will be applied in this fiscal year, moving forward. Categorizing these projects in summary for this year, you can see on the top, or at the top, that mobility infrastructure and utilities infrastructure is a priority. We're committed to this. We're investing more than $330 million in this.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
so the 199 in mobility infrastructure, I'm seeing on the next slide that 151 million of that is coming from TxDOT. So we count that in our capital improvement plan.
We do count that, yes, council member, and the vast majority of that is the roadway that is under construction for State Highway 84,
Right.
Which will be connecting Mines Road and IH 35.
Okay.
May I add?
Go ahead.
In regards to that specific highway project, do you have a breakdown of what the city contribution has been and will be?
I don't have it for me, but part of our contribution was the right-of-way acquisition. And so we worked with developers on these properties, which a majority of it, I'm trying to remember the percentage, but I want to say that 95% or more was through a donation, and 5% of it was we had to purchase.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Is there a way, I'm curious to find out, because of the large amount, obviously, not necessarily the FY 2026, but all the way to FY 2030, how much of this comes out of grants and how much of it carries debt service on some of these projects? And we can break it down to figure out how much are we financing and how much are we using our monies to fulfill these projects.
So I have a slide coming up
Okay.
for FY '26, and you'll be able to see those percentages.
Okay, perfect.
So again, these are by department, and this is the commitment, again, to our city, mayor and council, on the 535 million, how by department, these,
Oh, yeah.
projects will be moving forward. So this is a chart, that is showing the funding source. So I don't know if this answers your question,
Yeah,
Councilmember
that's it.
Yassa, but, out of the 535 million, you can see that 30% is coming out of bonds, 4.9 out of tax notes, 27% out of grants. There's developer contribution, operations fund, PPFCO, the RMA with their, the projects that we work together with them, TERS, of course, and TxDOT, and along with Webb County.
Excellent.
So this fiscal year, again, we have a total amount of 82.6 million, and I think Mr. Nev presented these numbers earlier, out of which 32.9 million rather, will be out of proposed CO bonds. 25.6 million will be out of 2025 tax notes, and the remaining 24.1 million out of PPFCO.
Mayor, may I?
Go ahead.
Can you go ahead and describe PPFCO so that people know?
Personal property financing contractual obligations.
One more time.
Personal property financing contractual obligations, the COs. Personal property financing COs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. So, before you is a list, again, by department of the 32.9 million that we are proposing for, our 2025 certificate of obligation. Some of these include improvements in economic development, building, Bruni Plaza, district priority funding, animal care services, the Laredo Center for the Arts, Max Mandel, new playgrounds, sports lighting, etc. As far as the proposed 2025 tax notes, we're looking at an access road for Buena Vista Sports Complex, which will be a secondary road connecting to Cuatro Vientos. We have Cesar Chavez Parkway, McPherson Shiloh intersections. We have downtown improvements, Mines Road improvements, like it was mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, improvements to our fire station, not only our fleet, but our new Buena Vista fire station, Sola Center roadway improvements, and again, street reconstruction paving program, and the amount of $5 million as well. As our proposed 2025 PPFCO, we have 24 million that we are proposing for this year as well, for the $82 million that we are looking for this fiscal year, 2026. This is very important because we talk about connecting with the public, okay?
Okay.
So this is some of the ways that we connect with the public. We try to be as transparent as possible with these projects moving forward. Not only prior projects, but moving forward, if we move forward with the $82 million projects, the public, again, all this information is in our website. You can click on this QR code. We have quarterly reports that we maintain, and I want to thank our staff for that because I believe they do a great job in just updating all the information for every single project that goes on in the city of Laredo. You can track it down. You're able to see how that bar keeps on moving through our solicitation process, through our procurement, whether it be design, construction. You're able to see how that bar moves forward. There's a process to everything. The design takes time. The construction, our procurement, solicitations, hiring a contractor, hiring an engineer, an architect, all those things, they're part of a process, but we try to be as transparent as possible with the public. You can click on that QR code. Part of the things that we're doing, and I don't know if you can see it on there, and I don't know if I can click on this thing. Yes, I can. So, this is one of our engineering trucks, and that QR code is in the back of them. Okay? So all our engineering trucks, as they deploy every morning, they have that QR code. So if the public is driving around, I'm not saying that you click on it, but maybe the passenger can click on it, right? And you can click on that QR code and get those up-to-date updates on where these projects are. And this is a way of connecting with the public. We have that QR code in our buildings. We're starting to do that. You'll see that QR code at City Hall at the entrance. We have it here. We're showing that at Metro building. So you see it there, somewhere there. It's at the entrance of the door where they buy the tickets for the Metro. So we're trying to be as proactive as possible, being transparent, connecting with the public. We also use social media, of course, for all these things. And so that is extremely important for us, to be connected with the public. And with that, I thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity. Again, we're here for any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
We've got a question here.
So you've presented the proposal for the expenditures on the certificates of obligation, and you've broken it down by specific projects. Is this the opportunity to comment on specific projects? Because I do have a concern, and I can appreciate Mr. Perez, who spoke earlier in favor of the artificial turf at Slaughter Soccer Fields and the $4.5 million investment. But it comes in conjunction with several $million that we're spending right now, a total project cost of $45 million in the Buena Vista Sports Complex, where the star of that show it's a beautiful facility. It's got the 10 baseball fields and the 4 multi-purpose fields that are all turf. And we have just approved last council meeting a fee structure for the use of those fields based on their, amazing modern, the use that you can get out of them, the fact that we believe they will be easy to play with. They'll attract outside interest, but we also do have leagues. And we've tried to create a fee structure that is reasonable but reflects this investment that the city has made in this multipurpose park. Creating artificial turf fields at some of the other parks at this time competes with what we want to be an attraction at Buena Vista. Buena Vista is in a new part of town. We will see development occur around it because of the investment that the city has made. We're getting a new street in Concord Hills at a significant investment to get from mid-south to farther south and make access easier. But as all of that occurs, we also want to try to drive traffic there. $45 million also invested in a sports complex that's going to highlight baseball, but also soccer and multipurpose, which could include flag football and some of the other leagues that we have. I think it's a wonderful benefit for the community, but the community still has to travel outside of their normal travel to get there because it's a new facility in a part of town that is just currently developing. If we choose to invest in artificial turf around our city, I feel as if people will be less inclined to go search out this new place in this new area of town. I also feel that because we've focused so much money in the Buena Vista Sports Complex, that is not the only sector of parks that we should be serving the public in. We do have playground replacement, we do have park shade replacement, which is good, but we have several trails, long trails, that are in need of lighting for safety reasons. And we know because we have basically year-round weather to enjoy our trail systems. For the most part, I mean, we have 2 weeks of serious weather where perhaps you don't want to be outside. But other than that, we've got a lot of benefit to being outside. However, winter comes, there's less light, it gets dark fast. Trail lighting would open up that particular venue that serves not just sports-centered families, but the rest of the public with walking, biking, jogging, dog walking, and open it up to a bigger percent of our population. So my concern with spending $4.5 million now is that perhaps we should think, with all the focus on the money that we're investing in sports in this budget, if we could focus on something else, so that we're more evenly contributing a city investment for other sectors of our public who look to the parks not simply for sports, but for other types of enjoyment.
May I step in for just a second?
Yes, go ahead.
To answer the first question that the councilwoman had asked, this would be the time to talk about any of these items if you wish to adjust them in there. We will ask for a motion to approve the plan. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, yeah, if we're going to talk about any of these projects, then let's do it now at this point in time, because we will seek a motion to approve the CIP plan in order to close this part of the budget.
Mayor, may I?
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Figueroa, just a question, and it's not my district, of course, but I like the improvements of the parks that we already have, that are existing. So your request is to have this put aside for lighting, for a trail system, but have we done studies on this or any type of inquiries of how much this would actually cost us? Or are you asking us to just hold that money for a while until we get that done, and then we'll know what an actual lighting system will cost for a specific trail?
Mayor, may I?
Yes, go ahead.
So there was a $20 million change grant that the city submitted to the EPA to, in addition to many other things, there was a plan for trail lighting along the Orange Creek Trail system. So the plans do exist. Now, because of the DOJ cuts and this administrative focus to undo the EPA, that grant was retracted. The plans do exist with a number amount. I do not know what the number amount is, but the plans do exist for trail lighting along the entire Chacon Creek Trail system, which extends from District 4 through District 3 and District 2, I believe. So those plans do exist. We know that Zacate Creek Trail Now, I don't believe there is a plan, but that is another trail system that serves, it cuts through several districts. There is a Riverbend hike and bike trail that is being funded. I do not know if it includes trail lighting at this point, but those plans are set. And then finally, the Riverbend Trail System, it's moving forward. And again, I don't know if lighting is included with it because of the limited budget.
Right.
It may be that the trails are set, but lighting had not yet been included. However, the development is going through. So there are existing parks that are in need of trail lighting. We also have recently, I think we approved a couple of meetings ago or one meeting ago, Deer Creek trails. Again, it's just for the bicycle trails in this new area of town. They will eventually need lighting.
Right.
So there is a great need for it. And it's not as if the artificial turf can't go in at a later date, but in this budget, because we're already so heavy with sports focus, that's why I thought that that particular line item, because of the amount, could be extended across several trail systems.
No, Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
No, and like I say, it's your district, so I mean, I'd respect whatever you'd ask for.
No.
Well, I'm sorry, Alyssa, also, sorry, I apologize. But if you all think, and I'm thinking you're thinking the same way, as far as getting those funds out, I'm willing to support it. I mean, if you all are wanting to, get that moved to another area of town in your district or your area or whatever you feel is necessary, you'd certainly have my support with it. As long as,
Mayor,
of course, you're the representative of, you're on board.
I think Councilman King wants to.
I was going to say something, but I'm happy to defer to Councilmember Figueroa as it's her district. But
No.
I will say we're all making this big picture plan as a council. So I don't know if you had something first. Or,
Yes,
yeah.
no, I just, thank you, Councilmember Figueroa, for your comments and, just taking a step back really quickly though, I would just like to understand and maybe hear from management as to how all of these projects were, prioritized and what the metrics were in identifying them. Because just in the the project evaluation classification page that you have, that has been, printed on in the CIP plan, it's projects that all should be evaluated for their potential to advance equity and environmental sustainability. Priority consideration may be given to projects that address underserved neighborhoods, promote climate resilience, or support inclusive community development. Rankings are regularly updated to reflect the changes in available funding, timelines, and economic development opportunities and evolving priorities of residents. And just in seeing and breaking down the 32, almost 33 million, really the only essential, or some of the essential projects lead up to about 4.1 million. Renovations and improvements are 8, and then discretionary funding across just some desirable projects almost equal up to 20 million. And so I find there to be it's very unbalanced to begin with. But and then going back to the comment about the 4.5 million and including the sports lighting, I do think that those funds could be better
Utilize.
utilized.
Mayor and City Council, and I'll lean on both of these gentlemen here to help answer that as well too. But on the broadest level, we had 2 pre-budget workshops where we talked about the CIP in great detail. We provided you with all that. We had a conversation about why do we have projects back from 2014 forward. We have a lot of different projects in a lot of different states of position with that. Within those conversations, that's how we got to that list as to where it was. These were the projects that had been vetted through far enough that we thought we could actually get them accomplished within that. That's the start of that. We can talk about every one of the projects in there. I know that Parks and Recreation are prepared to talk about the benefits and the pros and cons of the Slaughter Park project as well too. As we were talking about, lighting the rec paths and everything, I don't believe that budget had ever been set aside for this. So I'm not sure where these plans are that we believe that are out there in order to do that work from the grant that was there. because I know engineering doesn't have a copy of it, or at least they're not aware of that, in order to put a budget to how to do those projects. And that was the one thing that where I was thinking about with that. You know, I guess, to a certain level in this, if the project for the artificial turf, you want to hold on that, I would just recommend kind of saying, that's a project we don't want to do. We could always move the money to another project. I mean, we can provide you the full list of that. But that would be a future conversation, I think, as to.
Mayor, if I may?
you wanted to add something.
Mayor, yeah, that was my point, that if we should approve this, those monies can still be moved wherever we need to, I mean, at the end of the day. As long as this is approved, the monies are approved, and then what it's used for, utilized for, can be moved at a later date.
Yeah, the bond covenants are very specific about where the uses are. So if it is a park function, then it has to be utilized over park function.
Correct.
And so on like that.
Right.
So, and that's where the living document kind of conversation goes as well too. If there's a project that you do not believe is prepared and ready to go, we're all good with that. I think the challenge is trying to find, because we can give you 17 more projects that saying these are important as well too. I just want to make sure that we know the full cost of impact of whatever that project is.
Mayor, if I may. And just to be sure, those $4.5 million, should they not be used for the turf, then they'll be set aside for whatever is necessary or is deemed necessary.
That would be my recommendation.
Perfect.
Mayor,
Okay.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
As those 4.5 million, if they go back to the general fund, are they just utilized for parks, only any parks around the city? Right, am I correct?
This money has to meet the bond covenants.
Which is
We're
parks.
borrowing the money, so it has to be on capital projects, so it can't do any operations, any maintenance of that nature. It has to be on the capital.
So let me go back. Can it be included into the Buena Vista on the second phase later on once we're ready? Since it's a park, or is it considered another,
You are able to, so the sports complex is primarily funded out of the sports venue tax right now, but you have the ability to utilize other tax dollars in order to cover those expenses, so it can be.
okay, that's
moved
my
to that.
question,
Yes,
yes. So, yes. Well,
Mayor, may I?
Yes, go ahead.
So, you obviously said earlier that this budget continues to breathe and move along as we go.
Yes, sir.
So basically, we're saying right now, we can leave it as is, but we can just change the heading on it according to what it's proposed to do, if it's a bond or whatever it is, right? In other
Yes,
words,
sir.
everything we can use it for.
And I believe that the balance we want to seek on this thing, and especially with this conversation here, if we're not ready to move forward on an artificial turf project, I would say that within the motion of that council, say that project should be put on hold. Now, if you want to approve the projects as they stand, they will be coming back to you for an additional approval, and we can have those conversations as well too. So there's a couple different ways that we could walk through this.
Okay.
And it's just making sure that we have this thing as public as possible for that benefit on there.
Just real quick on the, I noticed on the overall budget, the War and Peace book on budgets over here. We have 0 proposed monies for creek cleaning. And I'm wondering if, if you want lighting in those creeks, you're gonna have to have clearing. You have to have a proposed budget for that, but I'm not sure if during that, and because you didn't include it here specifically, that it's not included in the budget for public works or environmental, or whoever is in charge of cleaning that.
Yeah, and Councilmember, we do have creek cleaning, it's in the environmental side.
Okay,
And
good.
out of the enterprise fund side, so.
Perfect, okay.
well, Mayor, I would like to make a motion, bring those 4.5 million, put it back to the general fund.
We can't to the general
No,
fund.
to hold, I'm sorry, to hold. To hold.
So we'll approve the CIP.
Yeah,
I'm motioning to
sorry.
approve the CIP with a hold on those $4.5 million,
Yeah.
see where it's designated to at a later date.
Yes.
Correct.
Wait.
Thank you.
Motion?
That's correct.
Mayor, Mayor, I just want to be extra clear. I know this is a little confusing, because we've never done this before. This is my third budget. We've never done this, where we just, So are we going to put it in a, like, parks category, or are we going to put it in anything that's eligible, like, kind of like district priority fund style, or like, how?
Mayor and council, and essentially, Of course, our CIP lines do not show it at this point in time. It'll essentially just be unallocated. We could put it into the contingency, a contingency line within that CIP. So it won't be dedicated to any project is what we're talking about doing with this thing. So, but the lines that we have, that we showed you were all project
So
related.
it would-
There was not like a line that says, we don't know what we're gonna do.
So there's only certain brick and mortar things that can get done in any CO, so you're saying you would just do 4.5 million of essentially miscellaneous CO bonding activity?
Our goal with this would be is that, yes, it gets set into essentially, because it has to be utilized for the bond covenants and everything, it'll sit there. The next conversation at the council in the next couple meetings is that, what are we gonna dedicate?
Where they want to allocate it to.
We're allocated, yes. So you made a
So it's
motion?
just gonna kick the can down the road, but, okay,
Yes.
so,
But that is, yeah,
I'm-
that's what.
Not
I'm not
really.
a fan of, but I will just comment, you know, it's not in my district, but I will say, I have a lot of, you know, working families with kids in District 6 on the north side who are always asking for more fields, because quite frankly, a lot of people from the north side, because there's very little land available, they have to go to Slaughter Park for their flag football, for their soccer, and Slaughter Park is used in a way, and with really high volumes, it's really difficult to maintain, and not to mention the water, so, the water use, so, you know, for me, like, it's not my district, but I know people from my district use those fields, and, you know, like, the fields are almost impossible to maintain because of how much use they get.
I know.
And I don't, to Councilmember Melissa Figueroa's point, I don't think this competes whatsoever with our sports complex because it's a totally different type of use. And obviously it comes from a different fund and like sports tourism and all that. But I'm not saying, I mean, this is again not my district, but I know people from my district use it. And, you know, if, I'm constantly getting requests for more fields, more fields, more fields. So, yeah, I think it might be a distinction of our districts and the median age and children and whatnot. So, but I will say there's some things happening in District 6 down the road where there'll be, well, we're gonna get about 10 acres of parkland given by a new development that's happening. You know, maybe I'll be open to fields in my district, you know, just, but if we're okay with, I mean, I'm okay freezing it but, you know, it's gonna be tough. This battle will be tough in 1, 2, or 3 meetings. It's gonna be hard to get all of us to agree on that 4.5 million, but I'm fine.
I'd like to piggyback on what Councilmember Dr. King was saying as well too. Let me, and you know, and I could bring up our Parks Director to justify some of this, but I will go ahead and do it as well because I was asking this question because this question came up. The Slaughter Park all-purpose fields are the heavily used by the city. I think we have over 7 leagues that are out there on that altogether. I will say that the Parks Director told me last night that it is very difficult to maintain it in the safe quality. He says that the City Hall parking lot is probably as in as good a shape or better. I said, well, let's rent that out. But the challenge we have is that we have 7 different leagues utilizing those fields, and there is no downtime to have the grass recover. So the trade-off on this thing, and that's why they went into the artificial turf on there, is because it does not have time for that to recover. I don't want to throw a little bit more fuel on this thing, but the conversation I had with the Parks Director is that means we have to start kicking people off of those fields so that the field has time to recover, because the danger for any soccer player out there is that if that turf does not do what it's supposed to do for the use of soccer, then there's that danger of somebody maybe getting injured or anything. So I think the great idea is we need more of these fields, these all-purpose fields. I think phase 2 of sports complex is to put more fields as well too. But just know that we have 7 leagues out there on that field, and it is loved to death again. We're gonna have to take some of that weight off of there, which means we're gonna have to shut them down for something. I don't know if we have space at the colleges where we have these relationships as well too, but I just wanted to lay that one out there because had an hour-long conversation with our Parks Director about this.
Mayor,
and
Councilwoman
said,
Figueroa.
This is why they were asking to go with the artificial turf in the first place.
Mayor, Councilwoman Figueroa.
Oh, all right, the other cigar. Thank you, and of course, data that we're using in terms of what we're funding with our, really with a credit card. And and just going, back to I lost my train of thought, sorry, but just that if I also don't know why we wouldn't just remove 4.5 from the CIP plan and save that money for next year if we don't have that, I guess.
That necessity.
That necessity. And why do we have to spend money when?
And council member, that option is there as well too. It could be removed and not even sought for that. I would just, I guess, when I look at all of the needs and the reason we went through the bond referendum and everything, we have so many different capital needs out there. I expect that if we can make the numbers all work, if there's an investment that can be made back. It could come later. There's nothing wrong with that. It could be evaluated farther for that. But I think that's why we're in this conversation. We had put together the program based upon a lot of different variables in order to get there, and I think that's where we're open for any options for that. We can either move it forward that way. You will have additional opportunities to say, yes, that project's ready to go, and no, that project's not, on almost every one of them, because they're over that, the $50,000 value. So it has to be blessed by the council at least 2 more times, I think.
Mayor.
All right, go ahead, Councilman.
Mayor, and I appreciate Dr. King's concern on citywide usage and those fields. My question to the to the Parks Director is, will the multi-purpose fields at the Buena Vista Sports Complex, would they be available for local league play or just tournaments?
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Afternoon.
Council, Yeji Gomez, thank you for having me. Councilmember Gonzalez, so the way we have it right now in our structure is Monday through Thursday is for local use. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is for sports tourism use, okay? Now, I am going to mention something. I mentioned this to Mr. Neb, sir, with your permission. I have an organization already reached out to me that wants to go into a 3 to 5 year contract to use the multipurpose fields at whatever cost we put on it, for an academy, so to say. All right. We haven't signed anything yet, but there is already a big interest, ready to go whenever we're ready. If we all decide to, that would like to get into those multipurpose fields in the next, as soon as it opens. If we do open these, if we do put turf on these fields, this also will also give a chance to have more fields. Like Dr. King said, I agree with him. I live over there. I can't even go to the HEB because, hey, when are we gonna get fields on this side? And we have a challenge on, that's one of our biggest challenges from our department.
Is the concession stand at Slaughter managed and run by the city where we keep revenue from usage?
The concession stand at Slaughter. The concession stand is run by the leagues, but we have a contract with the leagues right now. There's a baseball, now we're talking about the 3 multi-purpose fields. If you're familiar with Slaughter, there's 5 baseball fields, not the baseball field. We're talking about the 3 multi-purpose fields. There's Boys and Girls Club play, there's 3 soccer leagues. Mr. Santos from the adult flag football also brings his leagues there as well. Mr. Robles also as well, also helps with the youth, with which now the youth tackle football field. We even have adults playing tackle football there now, and boys and girls there at Slaughter. So in my experience here as a director now for going on 6 years, we have always had challenges with those 3 fields. And when 4 years ago, brought it up to, now I like to put it on CIP because, in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, that's the one that we get calls the most. And it's good, right? Because everybody's using it, everybody's participating, and that's great, that's really great. But the challenges is, we have to have good facilities for them because it is a safety hazard, unfortunately, because those fields are just being torn really bad. And you know, we try our best, and I want to thank all our groundskeepers and all that, but we are growing, which is a good thing. That means kids are coming out to play now. But to answer your previous question, it is open for local use, Councilmember, for the multipurpose from Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday is for sports tourism. But we already have, we're already being overbooked, we haven't even opened yet, if we allow, right? We can still put a 1 week yes, 1 week, those kind of, it's up to us, but that's how much interest we have with this.
How many multi-purpose fields was originally the sports complex supposed to have?
The sports complex right now is 10 baseball, softball fields, which are still multi-purpose fields, 'cause we let tick marks to play different sports. On the 2 multi-purpose fields we have right now, they're also like football, soccer. Phase 2 will have 5 more baseball, softball fields and 4 multi-purpose fields. So a total of 6. A total of 6 multi-purpose fields. And I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting calls already that when is those things are gonna be up, because they're really interested.
Mayor, if I may.
I would say if we're gonna invest, I would say let's invest where we're gonna bring leagues and local, where the city runs the concession stands and gets revenue back.
Right.
Because at Slaughter, we don't manage the concession
We
stands.
can't.
And we're gonna hire part-timers to run the concession at the
That's
sports
correct.
complex. Maybe we wanna take as much as, you
Sure.
know, the youth and the parents and.
Yeah, and in the sports complex, yes, we do have 10 part-time positions that will be running concession stands. If allowed in Slaughter, we could do the same thing. Just to give you an idea, and I mean, I'm gonna kind of, the maintenance and operation, the cost of a turf field is about 1.1 million. With maintenance operation in water and conservative water, it pays itself in about 4 years. I did a study on it. And I did this study back when we did Unitrade Stadium, when we converted to natural grass to turf. I did the study, and it's an overall maintenance and operation in water, it pays itself in about 4 years.
Mayor, if I may.
And you replace the turf every 10 to 12 years.
Well, that'd be another conversation, but it's interesting to know if we can manage the concession
Sure.
at Slaughter. That way, you know, the turf will probably pay by itself on its own. And I would support that, because we're not just investing, we're getting
some
the
revenue
city's
back.
getting something back.
Correct.
Mr. Gomez, real quick, do you have, going to turf, I know it's low maintenance for operations or whatever, for, the line, the cutting of the grass, the watering and stuff, and having turf, it's a great idea. But my question to you, the upkeep of not having the public damaging it, and I'm not saying, that it's gonna get damaged, the wear and tear of the usage, but I mean, by saying like the graffiti and all that, because we do have that graffiti.
Yep.
How bad is it in every park? And if we do put the fields there, and this is where I'm saying, because we're saying put turf in it, and we're gonna spend $4.5 million in there, and we all have it, we all have graffiti on our parks. We can't control that. That's something that's always gonna happen. It's been happening. But having a 4.5 million turf, and I'm just being honest, having 4.5 million turf, it wouldn't be fair to the constituent that use it for the right reason, than having a person come in there with a motorcycle, with a bike, and tearing up those fields. The cost that it will bring to the community to fix those turfs.
Correct.
So how much would that cost be?
Well, like anything else, Councilmember, we gotta protect our investment. If you're familiar with Slaughter, of the 3 fields, only the middle field is fenced in. All the other ones are open to the public.
So are we gonna,
First and foremost,
we're gonna fence in the whole turf? So the $4.4 million will be including the fencing,
Everything.
the ground and everything?
Pretty much, yes, sir. We have to.
So it's
protect
not
our
gonna be
investment.
open to the public no more? So it's gonna be accessible just to certain times or in tournament times?
That's correct. And we will have,
So-
or leagues, if they're going to be renting it, or they're gonna be using it, our groundskeeper, because we have a crew 90% of the time there, that person, the crew leader, the supervisor will have the key.
No, but just to make it clear, but the turf fields are not gonna be able to, I wanna go play soccer with my nephews
Oh.
and just have fun on the turf. It's not gonna happen that way. I gotta have permission, and I gotta request it, and to go play, that's something that
That's
the
correct.
public's gonna misunderstand, that say, okay, well, the fields are there, now I wanna go
Right.
play.
And I honestly don't think there's gonna be enough time because of all the leagues that we have been using it, because people are gonna be able to go use it. Now, we can specify, a certain time, it's open to the public, maybe one field, right, not the whole.
Okay.
We can open up one field, field 1, field 2, field 3, at certain time, and we rotate it, so it won't get, we won't damage the pebbles and the sand trap that keeps the temperature cool. It's a science, as you all know, the turf. So that we can rotate them to the public and keep a schedule, so that we can, make it last long. We want those things to last 10 to 12 years.
One more thing. So, the structure that the way the slaughter park is right now, it's gonna change drastically, changing the completely having fenced in. It's not gonna be like the old slaughter park where everybody can go play soccer anytime, because now it's gonna have turf, and we're gonna protect our investment, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Just, Councilman Demir, just the field will be fenced. The public will still open to the basketball court, the baseball field. the
Yeah,
play
but Slaughter
field, the walking
Park, it's
trail.
mostly known because of their soccer
Oh, yeah,
fields and
yeah,
their
yeah.
football fields, so that's why I'm trying to make, let the community know that, yeah, it's 4.5 million, we are gonna get turf, but there's not gonna be the turf that you think, that you're gonna be able to go play
Oh.
anytime you want, because at the same time, what you're saying, we're gonna get the investment back, we're gonna have our tournaments, and they use them most of the time.
Right.
And it's gonna be fenced in.
Right.
So,
Right.
that's what I'm trying to.
And we have to protect our investment 100%.
Mayor, Dr. King has a comment.
Go ahead.
No,
Oh, yeah.
I was just agreeing that when we spend this much money, yes, we should get investment, but it's also frustrating for people who just want to go and enjoy it. So I think, I agree with the idea of having some time for public,
For public use.
free play. Because, ultimately, the tax revenue that we bring in allows us to go out for bonding for these plans, so.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
Even now, the way Slaughter Park is set up, it's difficult for the public to go in there and play whenever they want to, because the fields are literally leased out pretty much all year round.
That's
So it's
correct.
difficult to do so already as
That-
is.
that's
Now,
correct.
if you're gonna go after hours, that's a different story, right?
Right.
But therefore, that's why this facility will have a fence around it, so that way it's not slaughtered or ruined in the middle of the night.
That's correct.
And that's the primary goal, obviously, to
Right.
make sure that our investment is safe
Right.
and kept that way.
Yes, sir. And we also, 95% of the time, we have a crew there all the time as well.
Mayor, it's not the city investment, it's the community investment, because it's the community money.
That's correct.
So we're trying to do is protect their money as well.
That's correct.
Say, you're gonna allow us to invest in this, and on the fields, and then to have them not protected or ruined, then you're gonna get, their feedback saying, hey, well, the fields are ruined, we just spent 4.5 million on a field, so that's what I'm trying are we ready for that, and do we have, enough information and the engineering on it?
Yes, sir. We've learned a lot since we converted unit traded from natural grass to turf. And now with the study with Buena Vista, we've learned, Ramon as well, we've learned a lot from how much turf can help us and the benefit in the long term. And the community, more importantly, the community is going to be very, very, very proud of what we have and going to enjoy these facilities.
All right. Okay, we need to call for the questions.
Questions?
Do we have a second?
Yeah, we had a second.
We have a second.
Mayor, could I clarify?
We already
Thank you.
called for the question.
Mayor, we only have a motion by Councilmember.
No, it was corrected, if I'm not mistaken,
It
by,
was corrected by me.
Correct.
Okay, do we
And
have
it
a
was
second?
seconded by.
I was second by me.
Councilmember.
Yeah, second.
I just
All
want to
right.
ask a point of clarity. The 4.5 million, are we designating it for park improvement? Or are we
That's automatic.
trying
That's all.
to,
It's-
allow this to pass as is?
No, ma'am, it's only allowable to go back to
Automatically.
parks, that's it.
So we maintain that park improvement in the bond
Yes, sir.
description?
Is that question clarified? I understand. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just to clarify one more thing before we vote, I'm sorry. We can come back to it, we can come back to it at any time and say, we want to continue with the project, the turf for the project. Am I correct, or?
Yes,
Or
sir.
the lighting.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah,
Or the
so,
lighting.
and Mayor and City
Or-
Council, and you'll be able to do that on every project on here as well,
Okay,
too.
that's
And so,
fine.
but yes, so just allocate it make sure that it's allocated within the motion, and that's what it sounds like, for park improvements. And then we'll have a future conversation as to whether or not, because I think this conversation will probably continue on the Slaughter Park, because the challenge is that we're gonna have to we gotta fix that field so that they can be utilized by the people that are using them too, so.
Well, Mayor, I think this is an interesting conversation. Everybody's pulling different ways, and it's 4.5 million. Can we motion to table for the next meeting?
No.
We could, but.
No,
Sorry,
no.
there's already a motion on the floor,
We
and
have a motion
there's
and a
yeah, second, so we're gonna go for the question. Trying to make it.
Mayor,
We already
Just-
called
just-
for the question.
just to clarify his,
Again? All right, one more time.
Councilmember Gonzalez, I believe that the conversation to where we specifically identify how those funds will be spent can continue. So this just allows us that ability to reserve those 4.5 million to continue the conversation.
Correct.
And that was my original
And-
intent.
and, yeah, Mayor, and that is correct.
My
All we're essentially doing is we're establishing how much money we're going to utilize in the CIP program. We do have the list of the projects that we would like to do. In this case, for this item here, we're gonna remove that item off the list right now, and so that, but the money remains.
Right.
That's,
Okay.
and that's my
Call
understanding.
for the question, sir.
Any other clarification? No? All right, call for the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Are you sure?
Mayor, at this point, we will be moving into the departmental reports, starting with the utilities and just working down the list for whatever you guys need to listen to.
All right.
Mayor?
Go
would
ahead.
Would you entertain a 5-minute restroom break or?
All right, got a motion?
Motion for
Motion to
5-minute break.
recess for 5 minutes.
5 seconds.
5 minutes.
Second. All in favor?
5 minutes.
Everybody run, motion passes. All right, back from recess. Let's take your seats. And who's next?
That didn't sound really
Ready? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, and I hope you are now refreshed, and that's going to be my first presentation on our budget for 25-26, and my name is Tarek Al-Zabet. I'm the Director of the Water Utility Department. So we'll start with our organization chart. We have 379 staff, and across the board, if you can see there. This is the complement of our staffing over the last, in the different areas from 23 to 25. You can see there that we have 43 vacancies. That's around 12% of our staff complement. Just looking at last couple of years, this has been kind of a chronic issue, especially in the frontline staffing. We have so it was a chronic issue, mainly in the frontline staffing and engineering. These are the positions that we're really trying to, especially in engineering, we're trying to hire more engineers. Just the market is very competitive. The ones we train to the private sector or our departments. So right now, the 43 is something we're working hard trying to hire there and get them back up to full complement. We also have some retirements and turnover in that area. We lost 5 to the latest initiative of retirement.
Mayor, if I may.
That's impacted
Yes, go
our-
ahead.
Out of those 43 vacancies, sir, Mr. Ray, how many of them do you already have applications for or ready to hire? Or are those 43 besides the ones that you already hired or are in process of hiring?
Based on what I'm looking at right now, we have probably 17 that are in the process of hiring. So maybe I'm thinking by the end of this year, I might be probably around 15 position vacant if we're lucky.
15 positions vacant.
15.
50.
Oh,
50?
1.5.
1.5.
If we're lucky, by end of the year, we'll be probably around the 1.5 vacancies.
And then of those 43, is there any room for those, the reconstruction or the patchment improvement when they, you know, when you go out there, or a patchment utility crew? Because we know that every time that utility goes out there, there's a leak or damage, there's, you know, interruption in the streets. But the patching, and it's, for me, it's just, I don't know, I can't speak for my colleagues, but I'll speak from what I've seen. The patches around the city are the ones that we're getting called for. Because once we interrupt the roadways, we come back and patch. Out of those 43, can you create a crew to just dedicate themselves to do patches and to fix those patches?
So there is a good point about, you know, the follow-up of these waterline breaks, and the ones we normally do are to have asphalt patching, and then they should be concrete and they should be designed in a certain way. I think my vision is actually move away of us doing the work, because we're not the professionals, and hire the contractors who are on standby, is like within 24 hours, for 80 hours, once we secure the location with asphalt patch, come in back, clean this, make sure the site's clean, and build the right, concrete sideways appropriately, because now we are doing this, but we're not, I don't think we're responding enough to those cases, but I think that's where we're moving. Those numbers, what we're talking about, are really people who are in the field. They really are the kind of waterline repair guys, and not in the areas of asphalt repairs and all of that. So that's probably a different way of how we want to move forward.
Well, would it cost more to have, to go out there and contract, or is it cheaper to, you know, hire them and have them there and, you know, use those individuals or those professionals to do those type of work?
You're right. I think based on what I'm seeing, right, concrete work is a little bit sophisticated. You need certain machines and certain equipment. If you're gonna buy all that equipment, keep it in-house and maintain that kind of, it would be, probably the capital cost would be higher to do that and train people to do that, just only to do that. So right now, the model I'm seeing is we just bring someone who's expert in that space, and they'll do it in and out. They do it to the standards that the city wants under the code, and we focus more on the waterline repairs and so on.
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
Yeah, and well, just one point to that, and I think we're doing that right now. I think the area where we're lacking is in quality control.
Yes.
So that would be I would suggest though that department have, if we're gonna hire individual contractors to be doing that, you need a quality control person to go out there and approve the work or disapprove of the work that's being done. And right now, like I said, he's right. All of us get called on those things because of the poor quality of workmanship. And we just need to fix that, because it just taking us longer to go back. And I don't know, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know the process that we are, and this is just pure speculation. I don't know, we pay those people to patch and then go back, if it's not to our conformity, to our specifications, if they have to go back, they don't get paid. So I'm not sure we're paying them twice to go out there to patch the first and then to repatch to fix the work that they've done. I think that's a point of contention that I've been out of the loop on, and so it might be something to address in terms of cost, in terms of quality control, in terms of, you know, efficiency and sustainability.
Mayor and City Council, yeah, I'll weigh in a little bit as well too, because Dr. Elizabeth and we've had these conversations. So what our utility crews go out and do is they try to get it back in service as quickly as possible once the repair is done. And so then they allow it, they were allowing the soil to settle. And then they go back and they compact, and then they try to build it back up. What we asked for, and that's what Dr. Elizabeth is also talking about, and that's why it's harder to answer, do we just commit a whole crew to it? We're compacting now earlier than we normally had been, because the idea was to just get the work done, get a patch in there so that at least it's usable, and then there's a settling that occurs. We've asked that they compact differently within the hole so that it doesn't sit as long, because getting them to come back around and get that work completed so that we don't get the calls, that's the thing that that's the thing that we're working on to try to stop. And so yeah, we're aware of that. We've been working on it for a while in order to, it's a systemic change rather than the change of our people. We got good people doing the work. It's just that they were doing it in chunks and say, first we get the hole filled. Then we let it compact itself a little bit because every vehicle that drives over it kind of compacts, but then it settles too quick. And so the idea is to compact it quicker so that we have less of a need to come back on a regular basis to correct that.
You know, and the reason, I'm sorry, Mayor, if I may?
Yeah.
And the reason I'm just saying that is because we got 43 vacancies. I think we have room to hire an operator professional that knows, and the crew to, you know, be committed to those patchings. And right now, since we're building and reconstructing the lines every day, because there's changing of the lines every day, I think having a crew in-house ready to go at any time should, you know, would have enough work for them to cover the whole, for the whole time.
Yeah, and I would argue as well too, is that the ones that are the best at our street repairs is the Public Works. And so that is another department that we have, and I know that we have leaned on them in the past. When we have
Yes.
trouble getting one done right, we call in Public Works and we get it taken care of that way. So I think there's avenues, and I agree with you that because we have the capacity in there, but I think that's where we want to make sure that we're balancing out the safety of our primary job, and then the secondary, we might be able to utilize our departments in a different way, so.
Go ahead, no.
Yes, with that conversation, I actually do support Dr. Alzabet's idea to perhaps contract this out, because what I have found in my district is that the repairs, after they are finished, after the time is done for compaction, and then they go through and they pave it, the result has just not been what Public Works does.
Right.
So it's been very bumpy, and I had that conversation a lot with Mr. Pishker about having to go and fix repairs that were done already, not in just one area of my district, but in various areas. So the idea that we would contract out the professionals or create more capacity in our Public Works Department, I'm sorry, Mr. Ofrida, if I'm putting more work on you, but getting those experts who know how to do it correctly and not asking our Utilities Department that has a different focus to try to do both, because they're very different. So I would be supportive of Dr. Alzabet.
We do have the goal to have less of these in the future.
Yes.
It's the whole nature of what we're doing now.
All right. So I'm just going to move to the next slide and talk about some of the accomplishment that my predecessors and the team did so far, and I want to just share some of those with you right now. At least I know for the first one that we are trying to establish a positive and healthy relationship with TCEQ. I've already met with their senior management twice so far to address the issues that arise from the last water boiler advisory, and I'm pleased to advise that all the requirements that they asked us to submit have been given and provided to them, and we're now just waiting for the response around how they're gonna, what kind of, reaction they'll provide based on our answers. But I think we've covered everything that they asked for, and therefore we're in a waiting period now to see how things going. But also we're trying to move away from being, are we in compliance, to be more exceeding those standards. So now we're moving to what we call leading indicators. What it means is we're investing in training of our staff. So sometimes we get negative positive sample of E. coli, and now we have to go into kind of anxious mode. So we've instilled now training by TCEQ for all our staff that they do inspection and sampling to ensure that by improving our process and improving how we do the work, that we actually avoid those kind of mishaps when they happen. So I could say to you now that we are trying to have a new page with TCEQ based on confidence and collaboration more than that gotcha moment. And they have a local office in Laredo, and we have been establishing a line of contact. And now also in the department, we have a centralized contact person that everything goes through that person. So while every division reports to TCEQ, we don't drop the ball around who did what, who did report that. I think that was one of the areas of vulnerabilities for us. We're still in progress, but I think my goal is to get out of this kind of chasing where we are to the point where actually we might get that designation of one of the best cities in Texas in terms of compliance. So stay tuned on that piece, and hopefully we move in that towards that target. We're also improved our sampling plan and monitoring now. We do every month 150 samples of our E. coli system to stay in compliance. I think I don't want to jinx it for now, but I think for the last 2 or 3 ones, we were fully in compliance in all kinds of testing that we have. We are continuing with the removal of cross connections and installation of backflows. And I want to say, if there is anything that could be one day a cause for water boiler advisory, is this cross connection. We really need collaboration from you, council, through your communities to ensure fire hydrants are not connected to someone's, irrigation system, or, someone has an irrigation meter and it's not correctly installed. All of that return irrigation, return stuff could impact our distribution. So we're trying to improve and elevate that level of cross-connection inspection and ensure that we're not going to get into one of those cross-contamination again. We have been replacing more than 5,400 linears of linear feet of water lines, and we just started recently with 30,000 feet of pod bursting technology. I have some pictures that I'll show you there. The beauty of that technology is you don't have to be a destructive method. You can inject 600 feet of pipeline from one point to another without opening a ditch, with minimum disruption to especially residential communities. So that's another, I think, a big milestone that has been established. We have 93 eye hydrants, and eye hydrants are nice technology where you have a sensor. When you are in our head office, we can know the pressure, we can control the temperature, we can report to TCEQ when we're seeing. This is something we're trying to improve and we go forward. Up to date, we have produced 7,300 million gallons per day of fresh water and treated more than 4,800 million gallons of wastewater. Most of, I think some of our plants, actually most of that water is used now for irrigation in golf courses and parks. So again, some of that is from an environmental point of view is fully utilized. We're continuing to clean some of our sewer lines, and recently now we're working with our engineering department and other departments in the city to expedite the approval process and permits. There's a lot of stats, there's a lot of people who sign things, and there's a duplication. So I think we are working with other departments to streamline that process to improve the approval for development project, which I think is key to the city.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you have, I don't see it, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you have another slide. Do you have in those plans, do you have where we're gonna put the sample stations around the city?
We have it
We've been,
already.
is it included in this project, when this,
Not in this slide, but we have a plan that is a standard place where we sample, and that's approved by TCEQ to ensure that we have a representative sample. And council, I can share with you that plan if you're interested.
okay.
Yeah.
And by when we're gonna start, setting up those sampling stations?
We have them already established, and we're doing this regularly every month from those specific locations.
Okay, all right, appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, SOPs, basically these are your standard operating procedures. I just gave you a snippet of what we have. This is probably, we have more than 100 SOPs. They set the rules and procedures for everything we do, administrative, GIS, engineering, water utilities, water billing. So this is something that I'm focusing on to ensure a lot of our work sometimes is we have new staff, they haven't been trained, so we're trying to elevate again, ensuring that our SOPs are up to standards, and second, that staff are being trained. So that's another one of those systematic things that we need to bring the utility to align and comply with those SOPs, because that's probably the first line of defense for us. So for other department goals for 25-26, this is more of outward-looking vision. I think what I want to continue working on, and I think that's the council priority, is advanced secondary emergency supply planning. I know the city manager has been meeting with some of the secondary, the legacy group and others as well. So we are meeting with them, assessing the technicalities and feasibilities of those. It's a very high-profile initiative, and I'm glad that this is something I'm really passionate about. So hopefully by end of this year, we might have something that we can say. We might have some progress. It's a whole village approach, but it's something that I know it's a high priority. I would like to continue with the critical transmission and distribution infrastructure improvements, whether it's the pipe bursting or improving our valve control systems. A lot of the things you see in the streets is not the pipe issue that you can fix and takes for 10 hours. It's really to find out where is that valve, how do you close it? One of the big ones we had, the valve just didn't work. It was rusty and it took us forever to figure out where we then go to the next one. So I think trying to improve that process is a huge priority for us. We're also working with the Corps of Engineer now on that $20 million grant to work with how we connect the two plants together and ensure that we have a contingency that in case one of the plants goes down, let's say the Jefferson, we're on regular or irregular maintenance, that those two plants are connected so the city is not out of water, or half of it is not out of water, because that's another huge undertaking that we're trying to get there. As you probably are aware, the aging infrastructure, the sanitary collectors and the manholes, if you drove through one of the areas, I can't remember the street name, I'm still not there, but you probably saw that big manhole that has been for a month, being repaired, 27 feet deep, very complicated structure. We have a lot of those ones. We got one of those ones that are complicated, so one of the priorities is to find out what are those key areas that we want to prioritize. I know I heard some, talk about theft and infrastructure. So we don't want to be spread thin. We want to focus on where really we need to be at strategic location, and that's something that is also I'm looking at prioritizing where we need to be. In terms of odor mitigation measurement, I've probably been here before. I brought to the council the issue of MIB and blue-green algae. And so I am talking to different consultants and vendors to look at our water plants. This issue is in the river. It's not something out of the system. It's across the board. It's going to keep happening in the summer as long as the temperature is high, I guess, and the river flows are within their rates. But we know now what is the culprit of that issue, so we're looking in upgrading our plants, including either carbon activated system or improve our recycling process. The big one is really human capital. We spoke about the 44 positions, but the biggest issue is we need to build succession planning in the department. There is a lag between leadership and frontline staff, and with the change in leadership that happened recently, we're losing that corporate memory. So one of my goals is establish some kind of knowledge base that whoever comes in or leaves, we have people who knows what's happening, systematic there. It's just not like the director knows everything, leaves, and no one knows what happened. So I'm trying to establish that. It's going to take a while, but we're we're working with human resources and to make sure that the department hopefully one day is going to be modernized and what's the word for that? Resilient. That is not going to be depending on people themselves, but on the system that is supporting that. We are aiming for exceeding all our regularity compliance. I think that's one of my goals, is that I don't want to be in a kind of we did this or did not that. Is more of, are we actually excelling or not? So we'll see how that goes. The rate study assessment and revenue optimization. This is a study I think that was going on. Right now, I'm still reviewing that assessment study, and I'm trying to understand the ins and outs of it, the capital part of it, and how is all of that. So I'm still in the kind of learning around the rate piece and how is our capital infrastructure that we have, that the council approved, connected to this rate study. Is everything included? Is not. So I want to understand what's going on there, so I can have a better understanding of what is our rates, what should our rate look like, based on our capital infrastructure, operation and maintenance, and other contingencies that are happening, and we want to incorporate that. Finally, billing system. The utility biggest revenue is billing, so that's all what we got is billing. So right now is our billing system is, I can say, partially manual, partially automated. Some of the automated systems are not 100% communicating with our software. So there's a lot of areas of improvement, technology and production and digitalization. So I just want to make sure that this is something that will be a priority as well for the department.
Mayor.
Go ahead.
Dr. Alzabet, I just wanted to comment on some of the goals. I want to thank you for the focus on secondary and emergency water supply. Many of us ran in 2022 on exactly that. trying to make sure that the city of Laredo diversifies its water sources as a means for resilience and sustainability in the future. And we're very grateful that you are focusing on that, continuing, I think, from the previous director. The goal to implement odor mitigation measures, and you mentioned the issue with the blue algae. There's also an issue with the Zacate wastewater treatment plant. And we have heard for several years that that plant was in line to be decommissioned, and the goalpost keeps moving farther and farther away. But at the core of that is odor mitigation. And so, I hope that your focus will, whether that plant needs to stay, I don't know anymore if that plant needs to stay in production or not, but that odor mitigation is the core of it, because the residents there and the surrounding areas, and even myself as a driver that just passes through there all the time, you smell it, and it's terrible. And then finally, when you were discussing the modern high-accuracy metering and data collection system, I imagine now that you're aware that over the past several years, the city has purchased more than one type of meter, and it's been tens of millions of dollars in investment, and some of the meters have not been able to produce what the information that they need to produce because of the interference or something that's going on there. But at the same time, I would not want to see just getting another system and continuing this spending pattern where we're not getting the results for the dollars that are being spent and invested in this type of system. And so I think anything that you can bring back to us that talks about how you're trying to manage those resources so that we finally get the system that we need to optimize the revenues, that information would be much appreciated.
Right, for the record, Councilwoman Vanessa Perez, District 7 is present. Mr. Secretary.
So, Councilor, I think to the second point around the Zacate wastewater treatment plant, just based on the latest study, and don't quote me on this because I'm still reading and changing mind on this, but I think based on where we are, and we are a mid-sized city, so I don't think we'd ever have 300 million or 500 million to invest in one plant. So right now, to control the other issues, we have to bring down the level of flow to that to around 4 million gallons a day, which means we might actually keep it, but improve and upgrade and transfer some of that to another area. So there is other pieces, there's duct tape areas in that plant, so I'm looking at it now. But again, I don't want to, again, to your point, I don't want to say we're just going to decommission it and sit for another 10 years not having another solution. And people, I call it a social license to operate. If neighbors are impacted, that is not acceptable. So we will try to find a solution as soon as possible. Hopefully, again, in the next 3 months, we will have a decision for the council to look at it and say if we are, are we supportive of that? But again, I'm conscious of our size as a city and how much money we can actually, so you don't also have a sticker shock, okay, we're gonna borrow $1 billion to fix a plant, and then it's a rate setting issue instead. So it's a delicate balance, but we'll deal with that. And on the metering issue, I agree with you. I think that part of the challenge we have, it's a piecemeal approach. We decided to buy software and then buy a piece of technology and then change the technology. So that's going to ongoing. So we are looking at our system, what can we keep, what can we improve. The last thing we want to do is go back to a new shiny object. So I hear you, so just give me some time to understand the whole process and come back to the council.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, for the record, I apologize. Mayor Pro Tem Vanessa Perez.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
So talking about numbers here, and I'll start with our waterworks revenue system here. As you can see, most of our revenues are actually meter sales. That's basically the key kind of income that we receive. Some other charges, as you can see there, for services, rentals and royalties, and fees collection. So we are dependent on our fees and revenues to actually keep the utility working, and so that's what we have. Our goal is to improve our revenues, and I'll share some of the data when we get to the numbers there. This is our expenses. As you can see, debt services are almost 38%, personnel is 17%, and contractual is 16%. Material supply has increased again based on just what happened with the supply chain systems And I am keeping an eye, just coming from a utility background, on debt service, because for us it's a key issue. We don't want to get into a point where our debt is becoming crippling to the department, that we're just paying that. So I'm working with our colleagues in finance to ensure that when we are continuing our rate studies and bonds and all of that, that our debt stays within a certain range that we can control, and we are committed to pay that while we also maintain our and build our capital infrastructure. So this is just a quick glimpse of our numbers here for the water system. In revenues, we are up by 3.8 million increase from last year, and that's basically, if you look at the numbers there, this is mainly to the meter water sales, which means that we are improving our collection of revenues from meters by 2.4 million, and also utility rate fees, which means we're also improving our collection of people who are not paying their bills. This is a huge issue that I'm seeing here, so we're trying to improve how people pay back their bills. Sometimes they sit for a year or two. So we're working with the community again. This is not a shock system, but we're trying to improve that through a payment plans that is sometimes affordable. Some people who cannot do that. But we want to make sure that we get the operational cost, and we ensure that public money is recovered. In terms of our expenditures, I think the next increase is the administrative charge. We will have increase in our expenditure. That's administrative, because it used to be 5%, it's now going to be 10% back to the city as administrative support to our operations. So we will be around 120% increase in our expenditure on that side. For chemicals, supply cost and materials that we use, as I said, we are seeing new kinds of contaminants. That's also adds to some of those chemicals. Transfer out debt, and the last one is transfer out, which is our construction fund. In terms of sewer, again, it's higher. In terms of our revenues, this is 95% is based on the services that people pay for the sewer system, and the rest are at low percentage rents and royalties. This is the expenses. Debt service, again, 33%. Personnel is 18%, and contractual services is around 37%. In terms of revenues, our revenues also increased by $3.2 million. Again, that's part of the recovery of charges. Our expenditures reduced by $500,000. In terms of major expenditure changes, again, we are having a higher bill for administrative change. That's again for running services to the department through the city services, and that's a $3 million. That's 127%, going from 5% to 10%. Personnel, of course, of the annual increase, and the rest is similar to the previous one for the water system. I want to conclude with some more, happy end on where we are. This is the Sakata, if I can say it right, Sakata sewer, 36-inch pipeline that will connect to the Lion major distribution system. This will be done next year. It's, I think, one of the flagships for the department, and I think they're really doing well in the progress. This is some of those pictures there that shows the tunnel or the 36-inch. And this is really what I wanted to talk about, is the new pipe bursting technology that is being introduced. You can go up to 500 meters, 500 feet in one direction without opening anything. So it breaks the old pipe, it's the new pipe. And I think I have a video for that, if it's gonna work here. So you can see that the pipe is being pulled from the other side, 400 feet, without breaking anything in that sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I may, this might be a good time to recess this
and then take a break until 4:15 when we hold the special
All right.
council. 4:15.
Okay.
So take a break until 4:15.
All right.
That's what's recess. This,
I'll move to recess until 4:15.
We'll recess this meeting. And
Yeah.
then we'll come
We'll
back.
take a recess from this meeting and convene at 4:15. No, we don't need a motion. Thank you.
Motion to reconvene as a Laredo City Council workshop.
Motion,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Parks and Recreation is next, Mayor.
All right, let's go with Park and Recreations. Thank you.
Test, test.
Guess we're doing at least one more.
I can't.
I love the rental. I love the rental.
Yeah,
Need music for him.
I got 45 minutes to return my suit, guys, so. How about insurance?
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
I'd like to move to approve the budget as presented for Parks and Rec.
Second.
I'll second the motion.
Motion second.
Mayor, Mayor?
All in favor? I think we already put,
This is to ask about the presentation.
okay, you want to clarify something?
Yes. Will this motion include going through the presentation? Because we just approved the contract and the public doesn't know if we're gonna have this Parks and Rec Department presentation. I'm happy to approve it, but I'd actually like to hear it go through. I know Mr. Gomez has put a lot of thought into
Mayor.
presenting where our direction is.
All right, clarification of the motion.
If I may,
Go
Mayor?
ahead.
I mean, if anybody has any specific concerns, I think they can ask them, but otherwise, most of this was already presented, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
I
Mr.
don't-
Neb, can we clarify the motion, please?
Yes, Mayor and City Council, you know, one of the things I was going to offer to you within that for this as well too is that from this point forward on each one of these departmental reports, there is no request to the budget. Not really. It's more about understanding what the departments are doing. And so we have spoken with most of the directors that we will introduce these conversations into the regular council meetings as well too. Some of the actions that they want to seek from the council, they're not tied to the budget, they are tied to actions within the department, and I believe that it would be more appropriate in those regular meetings. But we're happy to cover, we are all prepared for this if the city council needs it, but for the sake of your time and everything, I think we can incorporate some of these conversations with some of these departments at other opportunities.
All right, thank you. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 2 opposed. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. I can take my suit back. Also, thank you, Mr. Esparza, for the papel picado.
And on time. That's for the deposit.
I'm getting my deposit back.
Mayor, if you...
Buy one, stop renting.
Yes, I was hoping. Thank you, appreciate it.
And our budget breaks if they're not. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Neb.
All right, Mayor and City Council, just so you know, what we will do is that we do have a supplemental coming for this next council meeting. We have some fee structures for planning and some fee structures for animal care. Just so you know, it takes 2 readings for those fees. We will be putting them forward to you for the council meeting as an ordinance so that you can address them during the council meeting. But those are the only items on here, but all the other requests and everything is more informational for that purpose. So what I would recommend is that unless you want to deal with any of these items that are related to the budget, we would rather put those forward. We will move the fee structures for planning and zoning and the fee structure for animal care to the council at the next meeting because it does take 2 readings, so you would not have it done today anyway. And those are the only ones that are tied to the budget. We do have one motion that is necessary from that point, if you are willing to save on the reports from our departments. But I do have one motion that you will have to take in order to approve the budget.
All right.
What is that?
All right. The motion would be to approve the proposed budget with the motions presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor, that would conclude our work for the budget.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.